Robbie Williams Rewind.
Welcome to Robbie Williams Rewind. We are the champions. I'm Matt.
And I'm Lucy.
And along with help from special guest fans, we take you on an in-depth rewind through the solo career of multi-award-winning singer, songwriter and entertainer, Robbie Williams.
And today we're talking about Rudebox, Robbie's Marmite album, some might say. We're going to split this album across 2 episodes as there's so many songs on it. And then we'll add the couple of B-sides and some unreleased songs into the next episode. But we're going to do both parts of the album with the same guest, which is Jacek from Poland / England. You're kind of half and half,
Hi,
aren't
Jacek.
you?
Hello, go blow me bleeding Mary Poppins. Yes, that's me. I'm a bit of a mix, Polish, English. Mum's Polish, dad's English. And yeah, I'm a bit of a mix in between. And Rob's been kind of in my life as I was growing up, so I treat him as family as well.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, lovely to have you on the show.
Thanks very much for having me. I'm super excited, so I'm going to try and relax into it.
Yeah,
because I'm really excited. It's really good. Thanks for having me.
So we have met before. I think Matt's met you, but I this is my first time chatting to you.
Indeed, and what a time it is to chat to you. I've met Matt at the Under the Radar gig properly. We have a picture together with Marek. A shout out to Marek. Hello.
Hi Marek.
He's in Stoke at the moment, so he's ready for the gig already.
He's probably already queuing.
Probably already queuing, for the last 2 years or so. And it was great meeting you. And yeah, I've obviously known of you, the champions, through various shows and the Facebook groups and stuff like that, and Instagram lives.
We've been online occasionally chatting with Rob together.
The Robbie Williams celebrities. So it's super exciting, as I said.
So tell us what made you a Robbie fan.
My mum made me a Robbie fan. She was invited to my auntie's birthday. It was a bigger birthday. I can't remember how old she was at the time. And they went to Katowice in 2003, just after Nebworth in November. And she came back with the Live at Nebworth CD and DVD, and it kind of took off since then. I was in awe with that album and with that concert. And
how old were you then?
I was barely 10.
Wow.
Yeah. I was either 10. Yeah, I must have been 10. Barely 10, and I just loved Me and My Monkey, and I just listened to your podcast about Me and My Monkey that will never be played, so it turns out I'll never listen to Me and My Monkey ever again, because it's not going to be played live, and I used to listen to it in the car with my mum when we were driving to my grandmother's place pretty much every weekend as I was growing up, and she used to get a lot of speeding tickets because it made her drive really quickly. So I was banned from listening to that in the car, and now I'm banned from listening to it live. So I'm devastated.
Oh, no.
That's
absolutely devastated, because I love that song. It's what
amazing.
started the Rob session, basically. I've watched the Nebworth version multiple times, learnt it by heart, did all the moves and stuff, and my mum painted tattoos on my arms, and I had this like plastic massive microphone, and I would do that whenever we saw family.
I'd
as
love
a
to see
little
pictures
party
of that.
piece. I've got a picture somewhere. I'll send it to you. I even had it was 2007-ish time, I think, when I had like the blonde Mohican. Exactly. Yeah. So I was full on into it, and then in 2007 we went to see my auntie in Canada, and and then we went to see Elvis because I got really into Elvis as well. And Advertising Space was quite a important song in my life as well. And I really wanted to play it at Elvis's grave, but it was just such a somber place, and everyone was quiet, and and they were so I didn't do that. But I did have the Robbie haircut. So yeah,
I like
it was an event. Yeah, believe me.
Cool.
So have you got a favourite song, or is it Me and My Monkey?
Do I have a favourite song? I don't have a favourite song, Lucy. Just like you, top 10, top 20. You could potentially do categories like best B-side or best, I don't know, escapology song or whatever, and break it down. But no, like one song I couldn't tell you.
No.
I can tell you my most listened to song because I just love the music in it. And believe it or not, it's Bodies.
Ah.
I've listened to that on iTunes at least like 2,500 times, if not, if not more. Because I'm old school, and I listen to MP3s, and I've got the counter there. So it keeps upticking constantly. And Bodies is a solid
song.
track. Yeah.
So do you have a favourite album then?
Everyone's special in a different way. So obviously Escapology started it off, and then there was this whole intensive care madness, where he showed that he can go off without Guy and still produce great stuff. Then there's Rudebox, and then there's the swing stuff. I mean, he's just such an eclectic artist that you can't really just say that, this is the best, or, There's stuff I can say that I'm not too keen on, like, I don't know, like Surface Noise, or...
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, or Family Coach I never got into as a B-side.
Okay.
And is it Northern
Yeah, I
Star?
agree.
Yeah. Sorry, Rob, if you're listening to this. It's a not bash Robbie episode, believe me.
No, it's not,
I will say lovely stuff about Rudebox, and it's not scripted. That's how I feel.
Well, I think he has such an eclectic mix.
Yeah.
That it's probably, even if you're the most biased fan, it's very hard to like absolutely everything, isn't it? And I think it would be disingenuous to say that we liked absolutely everything. But, Northern Town, obviously we had some disagreements on in one of the episodes, but let's move on.
That's the one I'm still waiting to hear. We're all waiting to hear. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no spoilers. That's coming up.
No spoilers. But stay tuned.
It's not coming up. By the time this one comes out, it'll already been out. But,
definitely check out the previous episode.
Yes.
Just listen to all the episodes.
So have you seen Robbie live lots?
I have. Well, I'd like to see him more. Not as many times as you have, or Alan, or any of the other front barrier group people. But I do try to compete in the front barrier races from time to time. So my first show was back in 2006. So about 2.5 years into the fandom, and it was in Budapest with a great bunch of people from Poland. I was on this RobbieWilliams.pl forum when forums were a thing on the internet, and people were just getting together, going to Budapest for this show, and I was talking to them. I had no idea how old they were or what they looked like or if they're real, and I was like, "Mum, let's go with these people," and she was like, "But you don't know who they are." And I'm like, "I know, but you'll come with me." And she was like, "Okay, we'll give it a go."
Sounds like a great mum.
She's fantastic. She's a great mum. She's been really supportive of all of this madness, and she asked me, "Are you going to be like doing GCSEs or A levels out of a Robbie Williams subject?" "No, you can't do that." And I'm like, "Well, here I am, Mum, doing a podcast about him years later." It all paid off. So we went to Warsaw and flew to to Budapest with these random people, and we met at the airport, and it turned out it's mostly women, with only like 2 guys there. Marek was one of them, I think. And it was a interesting experience, but we all kind of hit it off and had fun together, and had food queued together. It was super hot as well. It was like 32, 35 degrees or so. Difficult to go to the toilet in the queues, obviously. But yeah, a great experience. And Marek was with me and my mum at one of the gates, because there were 2 gates for some reason, and there was this paparazzi, tabloid guy coming through, and he took a picture of me because my mum, drew a tiger tattoo, with paint on my arm, and Marek has this massive like Nebworth logo tattoo on his arm. So we both stood there like together, and then we bought the newspaper the next day, came back to London, and our neighbour used to know the language, so he translated it, and he was like, "But this says that this is your husband." So Marek became my dad suddenly in that newspaper article. We've got it somewhere as well. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. And then I think Rob saw actually that drawn on tattoo with when they were singing with Johnny Wilkes, so that was a highlight. Nice. Yeah, and they gave me like a thumbs up, and yeah, I felt really good because we did manage to get Barrier, and this was one of the first times he had like an ego walk. Obviously, he had it on the 2003 show, and there was a couple of other instances, but this one was, had like this S, or it was slightly curved, and I loved that tour. Jesus, it was so good. The set list was great. There was advertising, space was live. Later on there was Rudebox, but which we'll talk about a bit later. But yeah, it was great. It was so good, and the visuals and the whole like alien / spaceship sort of thing.
Yeah, spectacular.
Great. Absolutely. Love that tour. Yeah, and then after that I saw him in Krakow, I think, in 2015, so it took me a while.
Oh, we were there, that one, yeah.
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 Because I was like, if he's in Krakow, we're definitely going, because that's where I was born. So I got the whole band together, and then a friend of mine, she didn't understand my whole obsession with Rob, but she did listen to some of his songs, and I was like, okay, come with, and if it's a terrible show, I'll give you the money back. And at the end of the show, she was like, okay, you don't have to give me the money back. Yeah, but we did the whole queuing thing, and we were like number 40 in the queue or something. And so she wasn't super happy about sitting there from like 7 o'clock in the morning, but it was an experience, and she loved the show, and it was one hell of a show with
that was one hell of a show. Yeah.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
That was
at the end.
in the arena. It was an arena, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, loved it.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And then I saw him at Troxy. When I was coming back from a weekend at my cousin's in Dublin, so I didn't have much on me. I literally packed everything into this massive coat with what do you call them? With just massive pockets. So I had like chargers and pants and stuff in my pockets. And then I was like, I'm going to go to this show because someone got tickets and they were selling them, and I was like, I really want to go. So that was a special night, and then obviously Under the Radar, and
did you go to the Heavy Entertainment show?
Yes, of course I did go to the Heavy Entertainment show. I went to the Heavy Entertainment show in 2017 to Prague.
Right.
Prague, of course, and that's where I helped make for James Tonkin, who I got to know back in 2012, and I thought he just did a couple, like small, a teaser tour videos for Rob and so on, and then it turned out that he's been working with him since 2001 or something like that. and he invited me over in it wasn't 2012, but 2016. And he invited me over to his studio, and it turns out it was in this house. And I walk in, and I look around, and there's pictures of Rob and platinum albums and DVDs and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I think I'm in EMI's management, not EMI, IE management.
Oh, yeah.
Management building, basically.
Yeah.
And then he comes over, and he walks me over to his editing studio, and and we had a great chat, and he showed me a cut of a behind the scenes video from Love My Life, the making of that video. And it just needed grading and slight little bits of polishing. Never came out. I'm one of the only people to see it.
Oh wow!
I was it was a very lucky thing to do, and then we just kept in touch. And I was like, I'm going to the show. Do you need anything shot? And so I shot some footage that was supposed to be part of a DVD. But that never came out because the Russia shows didn't happen, and they didn't manage to get some of the footage that they needed. And
sad.
So then I shopped the video around that I've put together, the shots that I had, and I got in touch with the Robbie Williams website, and they were like, yeah, we love your video, we'd like to put it up on YouTube. And there it is, the Heavy Entertainment Show live in Prague, little video of a fan's journey to the front row is there, and I'm super happy.
Well done.
What an excellent experience, and what a great story. We will have to take that link and we'll add it to RobbieWilliamsRewind.com. We'll add it to the episode page so that everybody can take a look at your work.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'd like. I always wanted to show the journey to the front row, and maybe sometime down the line do a documentary about the kind of relationships that you can form, just for the love of an artist and music shows and live music shows in general. So it's something I'd like to do. Just need to form the idea a bit more. But that's my kind of attempt at showing what it's like, because it's been a huge part of my life, and there's probably been other shows that I just forgot about, but that Q experience, and everyone's really lovely, and it's that shared passion, even though there's a little bit of competition for the front row. I won't lie, there is. Everyone knows it, everyone's really nice and happy, but there is a little bit of competition, because everyone wants to see Rob.
All is fair in love and war.
And then in Prague, Rob also came down for feel and gave high fives to literally the whole front row, all the way around. I caught that on camera, but unfortunately I think I missed the opportunity to get a high five. So swings and roundabouts. Sometimes you're at work, and sometimes you're enjoying a show.
Yeah. So have you ever met Robbie?
I have met Robbie in HMV back in 2012. I came to London to study full time, because I was constantly going between London, Poland. And then I moved here for uni, and I was lying in bed, and I knew this album signing was happening at Oxford Street, and I was like, I'm here. I've no longer got an excuse not to go because I'm in Poland or somewhere, and who knows when this might happen. I haven't heard him signing CDs in ever, I think.
No, not since.
So
I don't think.
You could buy them off of the RobbieWilliams.com shop. But so I woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I just went, midnight, and I just went down there because you had to queue for a wristband. And I managed to they were giving them out at 8 o'clock in the morning to 300 people. So I managed to get the wristband. Then I had to get back there for 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And he was also switching on the Oxford Street lights and doing a little a little show with Candy and Let Me Entertain You and a couple of other songs, and then he rushed to HMV. So I was one of the last people in the queue because I saw the show and went to the album signing. But then I got this cardboard cutout of Rob that's right behind there, and everyone got one pretty much. And then I got on the tube, and there was like this army of cardboard cutout Robs just going back home. Yeah, so that's when I saw him live. I was super scared. Well, not scared, like really excited, and I didn't know what I wanted to ask him, so I was like, do you remember me from 2006? That's in 2012. Obviously it doesn't, but yeah, I had my Farrell t-shirts on, and he was like, yeah, very good, and gave me a hug as well, and he's a massive man, actually.
Yeah, he is.
Like when you watch shows and like DVDs and videos and stuff, you don't think he's that tall. And also, he was like bodybuilding at the time, so he was massive.
Yes, big bear hug, yeah.
Yeah, bear hug. And didn't manage to get any photos because it wasn't allowed. But great experience. And then I had a little chat with him on Insta with his dad when he was doing some rehearsals in Russia. And I was cooking, and I answered that they sang Sweet Caroline on the last tour, Heavy Entertainment Show. Because I think it was before the World Cup or something he was rehearsing for.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Yeah, and then I see Robbie Williams is calling you on Instagram, and I'm like, what's going on? and I give my dad the food, and I'm like, I gotta go because Robbie Williams is calling me. He's like, what? So there's a very awkward transition, because I think Rob's dad wanted to speak to my dad, and my dad just wanted to eat his food. so yeah, I've got it recorded. Some nice people recorded it on Instagram, so I've got at least a little bit of it. And but it's slightly cringeworthy. And we had to talk about films, what kind of films I'd like to film, and then I told him that Leo's stealing my job. Because
I do remember you saying that.
Yeah. But then Leo was there, and he waved, and all good. Hopefully there'll be room for us both. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe Leo will need an assistant at some point.
Exactly. Yeah, but so that's the amount of times I've seen Rob, and met some really good people along the way, and I'm really blessed and fortunate.
Lovely. And as you're half Polish, can you tell us what Poland think of Robbie? Is he very, very famous there?
Well, the radio stations play quite a lot of his songs, and so actually the first time I heard a Rob song was on the radio, or on this like Bravo or Popcorn cassette in 2001, and it was with Supreme, and I listened to quite a lot of Supreme. I really like Supreme. So whenever a big single came out, Feel, Tripping was played to death on the radio, I remember, which made me really happy, because you don't normally have a load of Robbie songs on the radio unless they're a massive single. Then he was on the Radio Z Czułe Granie campaign, where he spoke a little bit of Polish, and they animated his lion tattoo, so it came out. The shot kind of came out from the lion tattoo into his real one, and then he went Radio Z Czułe Granie, and that was it. So it was that was great. But ever since then, it's slightly less and less. Candy, a lot of people know Candy.
Right.
That's been a huge hit, and people like him, but obviously he doesn't come over to Poland that often. No. So we got to go and chase him.
Yeah. What does Robbie mean to you? Oh, I don't know whether you've kind of already answered that. Yeah,
well, if I had to say it in one word, that's actually two words probably. I'd say role model, which might not be the best way to describe him, and I told him that that he was, and he was like, well, maybe not back in my youth days. But yeah, he has been. He's been a solid kind of guiding force through life, with his music and especially with his lyrics. And that's one of the main things that I appreciate about him and about his talents. Not only, making people laugh and entertain them, which I have taken on as trying to do myself, but also the wit and the very intelligent lyrics that he writes, which I try to sometimes write as well. But then I lost my notebook when I was at uni, and I've had a bit of a writer's block ever since, and I should be writing more. But yeah. Anyway, whenever there was a big thing happening in my life as I was growing up, and when you're growing up, pretty much all the time, there's a big thing happening. He came out with an album, and that would keep me going, which has been great, and as I say, all the people that I met along the way, and the sheer joy through various shows that I've been at, every single show I've been to has been great, and somehow has topped the others. Yeah. And I'm just very grateful that he's there, and he shouldn't be listening to this. So if Rob, you're listening to this now, don't listen to this for a moment. He, in my mind, can do very little wrong. At the moment, I was thinking about that. What would he have to do for me to stop liking him? And there's not many things, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Because pretty much he's done it all as well.
He has. Yeah.
He's been on an incredible journey. Yeah. And it's interesting how, his work, his songwriting is a soundtrack to his life, but it's also a soundtrack to your life as well, and our lives, and how so many people have said that, it's not just a love for him and the music, it's actually part of people's lives. And I think that's something quite special that you can't always say about every artist, that you think.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. He's I'm not sure if his life is so universal, or our lives are trying to be similar to his in some ways, or we're looking for these connections, or if that's the case, that they that we find these little things in lyrics that we associate to our lives, and he might have something totally different in his head.
Yeah.
But that's the magic of great lyric writing.
Exactly. And even when you ask, I've said this on many podcasts, but I always find it funny, even when you ask him what something means, he'll tell you potentially if he wants to, and then you'll ask him again in a few months' time, maybe a year's time, and he'll tell you another story about it. So do you ever really find out the real meaning? Maybe not. Yeah. I love that about him, though. I think it's amusing. Or you hear him in interviews and someone will be asking him about Rudebox or something, and a different story will come out each time, just because he's entertaining himself by doing that. Yeah. I love that.
And I always, seeked out what's the real meaning behind the lyrics. And, I do go on genius.com quite a lot, and there's people annotating stuff, and you learn quite a lot, but after a while I was like, oh, don't tell me what it's really about, because I like my interpretation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe we should move on to talk about the album.
Yeah.
Are we ready to do that, Lucy?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Before I do that, I just have to acknowledge, obviously we will there will be a photo of this, or maybe some clips of this episode on the website. But we've all worn our 3 stripes, or Lucy's got the 2 stripes on.
Well, I've got Robbie version.
I mean, you've both got Robbie merch on. I've just got an Adidas top on. Very, very nice, Jacek. Yeah. That is the original Rudebox merch you've got on there, yeah?
I do, indeed.
Yeah.
It's
nice.
It was
blue top, 3 white stripes.
It was a present from a lovely friend of mine, Asha. Huge shout out to her, because she's been great ever since we met back in 2006. Me and my mum went to her wedding. We've been friends ever since. And yeah, she's been great. I can always depend on her on the Robbie stuff. And whenever there's a tour coming up, she's like, okay, where are we going? I'm going to try and get all the tickets. And we're going to make a trip out of it. And yeah. Oh, also, she took me, another time I saw Rob, to the Manchester rehearsal.
Oh,
okay.
For
dress
the
rehearsal.
Yeah, for the upfront friendlies, because she could take one person with her, and so we both took a National Express and slept on the bus, and then at 6 o'clock in the morning stood in the queue or whenever it was, and got in. So that was nice. And Rob's mum was there, so I said hello to her, I think. Good times.
Yeah, it
Good
was.
times.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
So,
Yeah.
Rudebox.
Rudebox, the album.
Because you're so nasty. Go on.
So it was released on the 23rd of October 2006, while Robbie was still completing his Close Encounters tour. It reached number 1 in the UK, Argentina, Australia, Austria, Denmark, Finland, Germany, Italy, Switzerland, and secured Rob his first number 1 in Mexico. Rudebox is Rob's 8th best-selling album worldwide, having sold 2.6 million copies. In the UK, it's his 13th best-selling album, with over 600,000 copies sold. 54,000 copies on its first day, 147,000 in its first week. It was in the top 10 for 3 weeks, top 40 for 10 weeks. Take That's comeback album, Beautiful World, was out around the same time and sold more in the UK, but Rudebox was more successful worldwide. However, the fallout of its perceived limited success in the UK apparently led to 2 music executives being fired.
Ooh.
Apparently.
And Rudebox went 3 times platinum in Germany, selling 600,000 copies in just the first week. By the 8th of November, it secured 2 times platinum status in Europe with over 2 million sales, making it the fastest selling platinum album in Europe of 2006. It also went 2 times platinum in the UK, Switzerland, Ireland, Hungary, Austria and Australia. It achieved platinum status in Finland, Argentina, Belgium, France, Mexico, and was certified platinum on the day of release in the Netherlands due to pre-orders alone. It went gold in Hong Kong, Denmark, Russia, Sweden, and Italy. So not exactly the flop it's been described as.
Exactly.
Recorded in his LA bedroom over the previous year, the album was originally going to be called Rudebox 1974. Rob said, "At the same time as making Intensive Care for a laugh, I was doing some music on Jerry Meehan's Apple Mac. We wrote the 80s, then the 90s, and I was like, this is good. We should make an album like this. And then it just fell into place. It went from being a hobby to being me. This is what Robbie Williams sounds like. For me, it isn't different. It's me."
Intensive Care is a very melancholic album. There's a lot of talk of death. It's quite depressive. This one, it's more vibrant. There's not so much death on this album. There's a big difference. There's more electronic stuff. If Robbie was still 14, he'd want to make this album. And I am still 14, so I've made it. I'm never going to grow up. I refuse. It has become something on which I've found myself. This is the right direction for me personally. This is what it is. I saw the whole Robbie thing coming to a close as it was. I couldn't make another album like the ones I'd made. And this has just opened up 1,000 other doors. What I am excited about now is making more music. I love all the stuff on the album. I love Rudebox. It's a favourite song of mine. I'm excited about getting it out there, but I'm more excited about making more.
For once, all the snobby music critics Rob had always wanted to impress gave Rudebox positive reviews. However, this time the tabloids, who had always given him glowing reviews, were the ones that were unsure about the new album. One particularly bad article in The Sun seemed to lead the way with slating it. Victoria Newton, who Rob had recently verbally abused at an LA party, said, "Robbie's single is the worst ever. Singer's new rap with a silent C. Robbie Williams' new track Rudebox is not only the worst song by him I've heard, but it's the worst record I've ever heard. Rudebox? Rude bollocks, more like."
Ouch.
Stupid cow.
Well,
yes. Sorry, Victoria, you got it wrong.
it was just a misunderstood album,
Yes.
in my opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was way before its time.
Yes.
Yes.
And when you listen to various other albums ever since then, Madonna came out with a kind of similar kind of electronically sounding album.
Yeah.
Recently Dua Lipa's doing the future nostalgia thing, which also has a kind of little vibe to that. It was just ahead of his time, and he's just, swing, then everyone starts doing swing.
Yeah.
This electronic type album, everyone starts doing that, and then everyone's perception is like, this is what we're listening to now. He's just way too ahead of the curve on some of these. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, however, NME gave it 8 out of 10.
Oh,
Yeah.
They can be a bit up and down though, can't they?
yeah.
Over
I
the
think
years.
they just want to do the opposite of what people.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
They said, "Luckily, Rudebox is the best thing he's ever put his name to. There's the double-headed autobiography of the 80s and its follow-up the 90s, the clattering Vogue rap in the LA Tale, The Actor, and She's Madonna, possibly his most bonkers song ever."
Music Week said, "It's a brave artist who steps out of their comfort zone and attempts to do something truly new. So credit is due to Robbie Williams for being different. He has brought in a large team to produce a bonkers, witty, occasionally self-indulgent, but hugely likeable record."
Mojo wrote, "Rudebox is another flick of V's to all those who doubt the substance behind Robbie Williams's incorrigible irrepressibility. Camper than Spanish footwear, it acts as a golden showcase for the glory of millennial pop. In another time, we'd have fated Williams as an Ian Dury figure. With this sloppy, happy, ingenious record, maybe it's time we did."
And The Guardian said in 2012, "A scrappy, undercooked pop album greeted in some quarters as if it were the most perplexingly avant-garde artistic statement since Lou Reed put out Metal Machine music." Rudebox was the kind of disaster that other artists would spend their entire careers working towards. It went to number 1 in 14 countries. As with Reality Killed the Video Star, its supposed failure tells you more about the sheer scale on which Williams' early noughties imperial phase played out than the actual performance of the albums themselves. But as Neil Tennant, who coined the term, will doubtless tell you, the one thing all artists' imperial phases have in common is that they come to an end. Fashions change, tastes shift, the artist's grip on public imagination slackens a little.
Also, in 2012, Rob said, "I thought that the direction with Rudebox was going to be wacky and wonderful, and then through the power of the press and the media, it sort of went down. So it saddened me, as that was the direction I wanted to go. I think Perception was a mofo on that album. They'd been waiting for ages to give me a good kicking. It was a moment of perceived weakness in a glittering career."
A story spread that EMI had to dispose of a mountain of unsellable Rudebox stock by shipping it to China, where the CDs were broken up and used in road surfacing. Tony Wadsworth, chairman of EMI at the time, said, "I'm pretty sure that's a complete fabrication," as by that time CDs could be manufactured to order so quickly that there was no reason to produce that much stock in advance. What a load of rubbish, eh?
Yeah, it's probably
As
living
if.
Victoria Newton again, silly woman.
I've heard this before, and but I mean, at the time when it was written, you'd take it as gospel because
It's rubbish, isn't it? You all know
is.
that the newspapers just make stuff up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very fantastical story. That
I just
people
felt really
find
sad when I
interesting,
heard
guess.
that because
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
It was the album itself was the deluxe version came out in a really nice packaging. I thought, and they put a lot of thought into it, and it was good. But there we go.
Years later, Rob said in his website blog, "I love Rudebox, by the way, and plans are afoot to make another one. It'll be ages yet, but I think it's time to do the second instalment. In many ways, Rudebox is my favourite album of mine, but also it's the album I would take the most tracks off to. Louise wasn't a very good cover. Kiss Me can go too. That version of Summertime wasn't the best, and Keep On can be dropped. The rest I stand by with a big middle finger going, no, fuck you. I know I've said in concert about some of my songs not being the best. It's panto. For the record, I fucking love Bodies and I love Rudebox. If it wasn't for the perception, it would be first on my set list. It's so much fun for me to perform. So with the 90s and the 80s.
The Rudebox album cover was set between New York and London with lots of graffiti in an urban setting. It was photographed by Charlie Lightning on behalf of Rankin. A collection of 7 short films was also commissioned and created by some independent filmmakers. Each one was inspired by songs from Rudebox, but more on those later.
During 2006-07, Rob won many awards, probably due to both Intensive Care and Rudebox. In 2006, he won Best International Pop Artist at the Latin American MTV Awards, Best International Male at NRJ Awards and the Echo Awards. He won a Diva Award in Germany, and he was also nominated for Favourite Male at the MTV Asia and MTV EMAs, as well as Best Pop at the MTV EMAs.
Wow. In 2007, he was nominated for Best Live Act at the Brits for his Close Encounters tour. At the German Echoes, he won Best International Male and Best Music DVD for the And Through It All, Robbie Williams Live 1997 to 2006 DVD. The DVD was released on 13th of November 2006 and featured his best live performances through his career so far. It went 3 times platinum in the UK, 6 times in Oz, 2 times in France and Germany, platinum in Australia and gold in Switzerland. Ridiculously, he also won Worst Album for Rudebox at the NME Awards. He just gave him that review.
Yeah,
honestly, despite them praising him when the album first came out.
Such
just
idiots.
So fickle and ridiculous.
Yep. They're like, I think we made a mistake on this one because everyone says it's terrible, so let's give him the worst award.
Jump on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
Goodness
exactly.
me.
Let's kick him while he's down.
So I think, aside from some of the negativity and rubbish that we know that happened around that time, that is quite a list of accolades that happened around that time. And let's talk about the album. So, Jacek, what's your thoughts on the album overall, Rudebox?
Before we start, I just wanted to ask you, because I was talking and rambling about myself and about me being a fan, and I was just wondering if you guys ever had like a rough patch with Rob where you were like, oh, it's this one's a difficult listen, or I can't, I'm not as on board as I was with like the previous album, or did you ever have a crisis of faith?
No,
as one would say.
Certain songs, but not a whole album.
A true believer. There we go. That's good.
Interestingly, no, not really. But this album made me question.
Yeah.
Even though I was a completely biased fan, made me question whether it was actually any good or not. And I think we used to have, people, it was getting so slated at the time. We used to have lots of discussions about it, didn't we? And I just thought Rudebox as a song, the song Rudebox, was it really, and we'll talk about it in a minute, so I don't want to give any spoilers, but was it really just good, fun song? But it was getting slated so hard by people that I was beginning to question my own sanity. I was like, God, am I really that stupid? And I don't think I am. So, so that was one moment, and maybe it was this actual album, actually, where I was like, is it just because we're just blind to it and we love him and, we just can't see it? Or is it just everyone else? And obviously it was everyone else, so...
It's everyone else.
So it was actually this album, I think, where I was like, ooh.
Well, when this album came out, I just ate it up because I was at the time I was 13-ish, more or less. And I was like, yeah, this I can get on board with it. I mean, I liked his escapology type album, which was a bit more rocky and a bit more sentimental in the lyrics and so on. I was like, okay, I can try and get on board with that. But yeah, I Rudebox, I think might have been a shock at first, but then it wasn't like a grower single that I had to listen to a couple of times. I was like, yeah, okay, I like the visual, I like the Adidas tops and that kind of stuff. So that was easy. And then the rest of it was just listening to it over and over. And I think you appreciate that album more over time, rather than when it came out, just because it came out with so much controversy and so many opinions that you couldn't really form your own, because there was slowly but surely, like we've got, opinions now everywhere, Twitter and Facebook and everything. There wasn't anything like that at the time, but you'd read, the reviews or stuff on TV that when they discuss it or whatever, or the charts and how it was or wasn't doing well. And yeah, so
I think it's an unfortunate part. Maybe it happens in other cultures as well, but it's an unfortunate part of British culture that we don't, excluding us, but the masses tend to like, and particularly the tabloids, tend to like to take down people who are, highly creative and highly successful. They like to build them up and then take them back down again. And I think everybody just started jumping on the bandwagon to the point where it's like, do I actually admit to people that I like Rudebox as an album and as a track, or do I not? Not?
Well, and
you start
also,
to question it. It's like, oh God, shut up and go away. We just like it,
Exactly. just let me like what I like. Also, I think this album took people by surprise because he was mid tour still, or just finishing the Close Encounters tour when he actually put Rudebox in the set list, and everyone was like, but you're touring an album, so why do you have another album out? So that certainly was confusing for me as well, because I didn't exactly understand how that would make sense. But he just, as you mentioned at the start, he wanted to make that album. It wasn't something like, oh, it's a Robbie Williams album, because I think in feel, didn't he want to change his he wanted to do another musical persona, like Francis something, Black Francis,
Pure Francis,
Pure Francis, Black Francis. Okay, Pure Francis. Yeah, exactly. So I think he just needed a break from Robbie Williams and all of those type of albums, and obviously he wasn't with Guy then, so he was experimenting heavily. That was his thinking, I think, at the time. Just to have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And Lucy, what's your assessment about the Rudebox as an album?
Well, I actually love Rudebox as an album, and I tend to play it more than other albums because it's different to all the rest.
Yeah,
and
it is.
Sometimes you just fancy a bit of Rudebox because it is different.
Yeah. And it's a clever album. We have to say that straight off the bat. It is lyrically and musically, and with some of the 80s and electronic music references, which we'll get onto.
Yes.
I love it. I mean, yes, it is Marmite. I know that there are people out there that either just love it or hate it. Many don't like it, but fair enough. But I think it's a creative masterpiece because, well, partly because of the tribute to the Pet Shop Boys, not just the song, but just the whole vibe that goes through the album. Obviously, he's been heavily influenced by them before this, but I think it also paved the way for Reality Killed the Video Star. Yep. I don't want to talk too much about that in this episode, but I've been listening to that recently for a preparation for our next episode.
Yeah.
And that could be a Pet Shop Boys album for me.
Yeah.
And so I feel as though there was a creative force or energy coming out that Robbie was exercising a little bit here. And I think it paved the way. And I think Pet Shop Boys would be very well. I know that they're obviously good friends with Rob. I'm sure that they like this album. So yeah, great album.
And I always try to compare it to something like, you know, I was also and still am a Coldplay fan, and I remember when they did the shift from, you know, the type of music that they were doing, and then into Milo Xyloto with all the electronic bits and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm not sure if that's what I want from them. And then, you know, after a time, and with the live element that they managed to make, you know, it's become one of my absolute favorites. But I remember at the time it was really difficult in 2009 to get on board with that whole every teardrop is a waterfall sort of vibe. So I assume it's the same thing for a lot of Robbie fans with Rudebox. But artists, that's what I learned over the years, need to experiment and do various things, because if they stick to the same thing over and over again, no one's really going to listen to it. And sometimes you need them to go back to their roots after they've experimented, and sometimes you need something new from them. So
yeah, and I think
if that's one lesson we take away from this episode, let's do that.
Definitely. I think it's very profound, Jacek. I agree, and I think hopefully long gone are the days where where the artists are the puppets of the music industry and the production companies, because I think they do need to experiment and they do need to find their own creative way. And sometimes some fans don't like that, but you know, they have to be happy as well. And I think Rob, over the years, we know he's had his ups and downs, and this is really Robbie Williams, as he said in that quote. This is Robbie Williams. This is who I am. So
you've got the growers and you've got the instants, as he always says with singles and songs. And you can't have instants constantly, because otherwise it's going to be really boring. So definitely a lot of growers on this album, but you know, definitely stick with it, and you'll be in for a treat.
So let's kick off then with Rudebox, the song. This was written by Rob, Calvin Andrew and Danny Spencer. It was the first single off the album and came out on the 4th of September 2006. It was produced by Soul Mechanic, i.e. Calvin and Danny from Stoke, who we've told you all about for Rock DJ and other songs. Rudebox samples Sly and Robbie's Boop's Here to Go, which came out in 1987 and hit number 12 in the UK. Boop's Here to Go was written by Sly Dunbar, Robbie Shakespeare, Bill Laswell, Carl Aiken, also known as Shinehead, and Bootsy Collins. Drummer Sly Dunbar and bassist Robbie Shakespeare are 1970s Jamaican rhythm section and production duo associated with reggae and dub music. Bill Laswell is an American bass guitarist and record producer. Carl Aiken, Shinehead, is credited as being one of the original acts to cross hip-hop with reggae music. Bootsy Collins was a leading innovator of funk, having worked with James Brown on D-Light's Groove is in the Heart and more.
Rudebox reached number 4 in the UK, number 1 in Germany, Italy, Switzerland and Turkey, 2 in Finland, 3 in Denmark, 4 in Belgium, 5 in Austria and Spain. It hit number 30 on the 3rd of September 2006 in the UK on downloads alone, before physical sales helped it get to number 4. Rudebox was number 16 in the end of 2006 chart in Italy. It won Song of the Year at the Mexican Premios Hoy Awards in 2007 and was nominated for International Hit of the Year at the 2007 Ivor Novellos.
Rob said, Calvin and Danny had come on board and just made me think differently about music. It's like finding 2 Pharrell Williams in Stoke-on-Trent. They sent me an email with a beat on it, and it was the Rudebox beat, called Rudebox. It just became a floor shaker with lyrics straight out of Stoke-on-Trent. My head's been in some strange places and taken some strange exit turns since I was 16. When we get in the studio, we gel, and we know where we are going. We get excited when it's right. I think we're onto something.
Rob first played Rudebox live at Hampden Park on his Close Encounters tour. He said in You Know Me, in my mind, it's going to be another glorious victory for the boy Williams, who reinvents himself so majestically again and again and again. But when it started, the whole stadium kind of collectively took one step back and just looked at me with bewilderment. Just a lot of Scots with puzzlement on their faces. As much as frightened me, it actually made me giggle. You have to understand that we'd been having a very magical time in the studio in my bedroom in LA, just having a laugh, and the process had been easier than for any of the other albums. I just thought, because of the enjoyment that we got out of it, that would be translated to my audience. I thought I'd made a brilliant album, and I still do. I think it is my favourite me album.
Rudebox has a very special place in my heart. I think out of any song I've written, I've listened to Rudebox the most. I've played it to death. I'm just excited by it. It's confused me. It's gone to radio and people have gone, I'm confused by the reaction it's got. I personally love it. That's why we went with it first. Rob later told Gracia, I wish I hadn't released Rudebox as the first single from the album. A different one would have been better. But these days I concentrate on more important things than regrets.
I wonder what single that would have been, though. Because I can't imagine a better one, to be honest.
Yeah.
As a first one.
I did think about Love Light. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'll have to ask him.
Yeah.
That would be fascinating to know.
Rudebox features backing vocals from Charmaine Baines, a UK house music neo-soul rhythm and blues singer. She also sings on Viva Life on Mars, as well as 5 tracks on The Christmas Present. Marsha Thomason also performs backing vocals on Rudebox, as well as the actor. In terms of the lyrics, I've written down some explanations and background to some of them, because a lot of people say it's just nonsense, but
well done, Lucy.
It kind of, there are some meanings behind it, I think. So we've got Grab Your Shell Toes, which is Adidas Superstars trainers.
My favourite trainer ever. Ever since Rudebox, that's my exclusive shoe, pretty much. Okay. White with the black stripes and the fat laces, if I can get them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've just took off like a couple of years ago again, and they just added a load of gold, and I'm not a fan of that gold, but still got my old school ones, so yeah, rocking them.
Rock 3 stripes, not the Asics. That's comparing Adidas trainers to Asics trainers.
Yep.
Yeah. So Dance Like You won the Special Olympics, the single release, and some radio stations censored the word special. He received criticism for this lyric, and he has said he's a bit embarrassed about that line now.
But all he was saying was it's doing a funny dance, that was all, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The particular kind of body shaking kind
we got really sensitive recently.
It's a different time then. We won't say politically correct in the world. And,
exactly.
Ain't That Right Boo, True, is probably a reference to a line from Big Popper by the Notorious B.I.G.
I'll ride with you if you can get me to the border, because the sheriff's after me for what I did to his daughter. I did it like that, like this. You did it like that. You can't help but almost sing it. That is the same as some lines from a song called Paul Revere by the Beastie Boys. And dial 808 for the bass to drop, most likely referring to the TR-808 drum machine, famous for its heavy bass. OK, Bum Rush the Show, probable reference to Public Enemy's debut album Yo, Bum Rush the Show. Body Full of Mandrex, Sedative and Hypnotic, banned in most places in the mid-1980s due to it being extensively abused, very like Rohypnol. So there you go, there's a few little explanations there. There's a little bit of an education there. In case anyone didn't understand some of them, because I didn't. And I didn't know there was all those references to other songs either. No, I didn't. Like, how does that work if he's going to put other songs' lines in? Surely he has to... I think there's this slight differences, and you can't, like, he doesn't use as much of the song, and then you can do that. That's actually quite funny, because I didn't know all of these references, and back in 2020 when we were deep down in lockdown, I did a charity rap to help out the Polish NHS that I was nominated by a friend of mine, and I did 2 versions, one in Polish, and then it would transition into the English verse, 16 bar verse.
And I did nominate Robbie, but unfortunately he didn't see it, and he didn't respond to the challenge of the Hot 16 challenge. But I did say hashtag modern day classic, because it is, as we can see with all the various references in it as well. And I've tried in my English verses to have similar sort of things where I'd incorporate various lyrics from other raps, for example, or have references to songs and titles and stuff like that. So yeah, I didn't know Rudebox inspired me that much for that one.
So what do you think then, Jacek, about Rudebox? Tell us.
Well, Rudebox was only a little bit of a grower for me. I did like it. It came, as I said, out of left field. Totally surprised by the fact that the new album was on the horizon, and it was totally different. And I did like it. I did like it. It made me want to do a bit more rapping, and learning all the lyrics and getting all that perfect. Video wise, I think it could have been slightly better, if I do say so myself.
Yeah.
Not a lot of Rob in it, a lot of dancing and interesting dancing and camera techniques and stuff. But we'll
come to the video anyway.
Not my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a really fun song.
Yeah.
To listen to. I like the beat and the electronic 80s kind of sounds on it. And also I really like it when he plays it live, because I feel like it's almost rebellious. It's like a 2 fingers up to the people who didn't like this album. I'm going to play it anyway. And just because you know that he's loving it makes you enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
I like the sound effect when after he sings, goes up your back and then down your spine, and when it hits your head. And I like that bit. It's just fun, all those little bits in the song.
Yeah, and it's great to dance to as well, and do a little rap in the middle of it as well, if you wanted to. And one of my favorite lyrics in it is "Take both pills, F the Matrix."
I think you probably like that one, don't you?
Yeah, I do. That's a great lyric.
Yeah. But a lot of people asked, what's Rudebox about? What does Rudebox mean? Especially here in Poland, and me and Asha and Monica and Anya and a couple of Basha and a couple of other people that I used to go to shows with. We went to Budapest with at the time. They asked us on a TV show what that means, and it was a young lad going to television to talk about a new Robbie Williams album. I was super excited.
Oh wow!
And it turned out to be just me wearing like this really yellow jacket and white shoes, and being very kind of hip and dancey / rappy, whatever, and all these other girls that were much older than me, but I felt like like a special boy in the middle, and and they made me do a dance. So I did a dance, and everyone clapped, and then they did a little interview, and it is somewhere online, but I'm too ashamed to show you that one. So
I would have loved to have seen that.
But they did ask, like, well, if you had to ask Robbie something, what would you ask? And I was like, if he'd be my friend, because then I'd be able to ask more questions.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. And then what does Rudebox mean? And I said it could be a dance, it could be something you say to a mate. I had no idea, because what does Rudebox mean? No one knows.
Well, I don't know.
Rob knows. Does Rob
I
know
felt
what
like
Rudebox
I asked
means?
the same question. Has he ever actually said what it means? Because
I don't think he has, actually.
We've had this discussion before, haven't we? And there's could be multiple meanings for it.
When he says, I got one design and that's to bump you till you drop. I felt like maybe it's the lady's sort of bum or hips.
I thought it was to do with private
And it's
parts when I
basically
first heard it.
about
but
sex.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's one.
It could be the bum, or it could be. I'm just thinking now. It could be like the massive boombox cassette machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And the song from that boombox's perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it could also be all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
knows?
knowing Rob.
Yeah.
I had exactly the same question there. I love the intro to this song. The tick tock, you know, that synthesized drum beat sound is very much, and I have to show you, Jacek. I've talked about this on previous episodes before, right? So that was my first. I don't think you can see that very well on the camera, but basically that's a keyboard that's about the size of a 30-centimeter ruler.
Sure.
Where you can only play one key at a time.
Yeah.
And the drum beats sound exactly. This is a Casio VL1, so it's like the first keyboard they made. I think they made a few more before it, but it made that sound. And so I don't know, probably when I was about 6 or 7, I had that, maybe 8. I had that keyboard to begin with, and so it takes me right back to that.
So you're saying you actually wrote the bare bones of Rudebox?
I think so. I mean, really, yeah. It's due to me. So, and I was talking about that on the intensive care B-sides with Yorgos as well. So, but I just love the way it contrasts with the bass line, because the bass line kicks in and then you've got that really shrill sort of electronic drum, which isn't a drum, but back in the day we called that a drum beat. And I love that the lyrics, obviously, they're set to maximum craziness in this. I mean, as we've just gone through. I mean, when I looked at the actual lyrics for it, I just didn't know where to start. And also the level of political incorrectness is quite astounding. Obviously, you know, these days that would be difficult to get away with, but it was a different time. And,
but, you know, it had to grab attention somehow.
Yeah.
And,
it did,
and, you know, especially I think the last single from Intensive Care would have been Sin Sin Sin, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a huge jump from, you know, him being a guru with all these women around, and that, you know, sonic sound of the album and that single, to suddenly jump to this.
Yeah.
You know, especially, as I said, mid-tour, and I think Sin 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 only came out like in the summer.
Yeah.
And then this comes out in September.
Yeah. So it's quite a leap.
Yeah. And I know it can be divisive for a lot of fans. And it actually annoys me, that whole "so do you like Rudebox" question that seems to dominate discussions quite a lot of the time, that you often hear. But I feel as though Robbie was fully and completely serious and bought in to developing this. And I think there was obviously an element of him being in tongue-in-cheek mode, which he's in a lot of the time. You know, but I think he was absolutely into this, and I think it's a song, and the lyrics are making fun of themselves. You know, it's designed, it's very clever, and I think it went way over some people's heads.
Yeah, so I was just wondering if it has, you know, loads of similarities with the Swing Experiment, because obviously it was different, and I know that the Swing album, you know, wasn't taken into consideration for the contract with EMI at the time, because it was too much of a gamble.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if this album was him trying to maybe potentially get out of his contract slightly quicker because it was released so quickly. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a good conspiracy theory.
Yes, the Rudebox conspiracy.
Because then obviously after that he released the Greatest Hits.
Yeah.
Which I think then, Reality Killed the Video Star is the last album to fulfill that contract. No, I just wanted to say, I wonder if he's ever actually been to TK Maxx or TJ Maxx in America, because that would be interesting. And
when my mum heard it, she would exclusively go to TK Maxx. So good bit of marketing there, and yeah. And I bought a load of Adidas stuff, so
good. And then the line about Jackson looks a mess. I had some friends that were very big Michael Jackson fans who took a great dislike to that, who already didn't like Robbie. So that cemented their dislike for him.
Controversial album,
funny.
Indeed.
Yes, I found it funny on the Progress tour that he changed it to Jackson, rest in peace. Obviously, he didn't want to be slagging off the dead.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
quite a nice tribute, I thought. And I got high-speed dubbing on my stereo. I like that line as well.
Oh, yeah.
Brings back the memories of our old stereo, which I've got in the loft.
Yeah. Tape to tape.
Yeah.
Pirate copies.
Yeah, I remember
albums.
that. One of the first songs I had on a cassette was one my mum got me recorded for me with Karma Chameleon out of all songs, and I would listen to that on A side and B side over and over and over as a child back in the 90s with my little Fisher Price boombox. Rudebox.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
So do you want to move on to the video now?
Yeah. So the video was directed by Seb Janiak, a French photographer and video director of Polish origin, who's made videos for Daft Punk and Janet Jackson.
So, yeah, I think as you said earlier, it's not one of my favourite Robbie videos. There's not really enough Robbie in it.
Yeah, I think if they did, I'm not sure if you've seen the video, we probably have, of the photo shoot for the album cover when he was in various Adidas suits and riding a BMX, and there's a little kind of 90s
bit of the 90s,
lip sync to it. If that was that kind of video, I'd be much more into it.
Same, yeah.
But I think because of the tour, he just didn't have the time. So that
so
could
they
have been
almost made it without him, and then just slotted his bits
Yeah, it's
in.
it's quite simple, isn't it? In really, he's just in a box, and so is everyone else in a box dancing around.
Yeah.
Although
it is called Rudebox.
I do like the green light up trainers.
Yes.
I want a pair of those. I know I'd look stupid walking around in them, but I quite like them.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and those lasers going around all the dancers. I wish when I was walking down the street I could have those on.
It's quite an eye-catching video, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, good dancers, lots of, like you say, laser beams going on, baggy trousers, a bit of break dancing.
And also a controversial, I think, top, Adidas top that he's wearing.
Why is it controversial?
Well, because it's got the old Adidas logo that looks a bit like the ganja, marijuana ganja.
Oh, okay.
Like a marijuana
right.
leaf.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I see.
I love that top, though. I want that. when I saw that again, I was like, oh, I really want the Adidas top. Even if it is politically incorrect.
I was hunting eBay for all of these things.
Yeah, it was black with red and yellow and green stripes.
Yeah.
Zip up top.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want one of those.
I find it funny as well that at one point he obviously sticks his finger up at the camera. They kind of zoom in so you don't see the actual fingers.
Yeah.
But basically you know what he's doing. And I find it funny to think that was aired on telly. Like,
yeah.
I didn't see it that much though. I'm more
that's true.
Associate it with like YouTube.
Yes.
As it was kind of taking off at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I more remember like Tripping and Sin and those type of videos on Make Me Pure even. Make Me Pure was played, even though, was that a single?
No, it was apparently it was a double A side.
Okay.
But,
because that was a nice video, but.
Yeah, very nice.
And it was played quite a lot, and I was like, but this is not a single. Why isn't it on the radio, and why isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird. But it did chart in somewhere, Belgium or Denmark or somewhere. Because we've recorded that episode, so we did say that, but I can't remember the exact.
Yeah, you got to listen to the previous episode.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So should we move on to Viva Life on Mars?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So written by Rob, Danny and Kelvin, and produced by Danny and Kelvin. Rob said, "For me, it is doing away with all I have been taught, and instead of investing my faith in a Catholic religion, I decided that the fantasies on the internet are more interesting than the fantasies at the pulpit. I see it as Oh Brother, Where Art Thou meets Primal Scream when they were good."
Viva Life on Mars paraphrases I Want Your Sex by George Michael. Love is natural, love is good. Not everybody does it, but everybody should. The song also references West End Girls by Pet Shop Boys. Free yourself from liberation, from Lake Geneva to the Freeland Station.
Yeah. So one of the Rudebox Shorts videos we mentioned earlier was created for this song, directed by Owen Silverwood and James Tonkin, who you mentioned earlier.
I have indeed. Yes. He was all there, and I should have known about him, and for some reason I just didn't make the connection.
You'll have to ask him whether you can get hold of this video, because we couldn't find it anywhere.
Viva Life on Mars. Was it part of the Rudebox Shorts thing?
Rudebox Shorts, yeah.
I might have it somewhere.
Oh, that would be interesting.
I need to check.
So apparently, because I haven't seen it, or if I have, I've forgotten it, it's a pastiche of classic Western movies and depicts an elderly cowboy enjoying a night out on the town in the East End of London. Owen said, "The story of an East End cowboy was strongly inspired by the sound of the song with its Wild West instrumentation, but it also came out of wanting to make a film involving clubland and the social circles that revolve around it. We combined the two and came up with the core idea of an old man getting ready for a Wild West party. We felt it was important to keep the whole film light-hearted because the song is so upbeat and doesn't take itself too seriously. But we also wanted it to have a bit of bite, and so our hero is brought back down to earth with a bump at the end of the film." So I'm fascinated to think what that actually looks like, that video.
Yeah.
Be good if you could find out.
Well, I'm just
James.
looking at a Rudebox import edition on Amazon, and there's a DVD of Rudebox short films with it.
Oh, right, okay.
And it's got the 80s Bong Bong, Goodbye to the Normals, Never Touch That Switch, Good Doctor, Kiss Me, The Actor, Viva Life on Mars in the 80s.
Yeah, those are the songs that they made the video.
We need to get hold of that.
So that's the 20th anniversary edition of Rudebox that comes with a DVD.
That's the one to get.
That's
because
the one to get.
They are virtually,
Well, you can't
if
find
not
them on
impossible,
YouTube.
to find
Well,
online.
two of them
so
are,
for some reason they were, well, two of them, like you say.
Oh, no,
but one of them.
Yeah, but that's because they're on the Inner Sanctum
Bursum
DVD.
Normals.
Bursum Normals and another one.
Hmm.
There you go.
He's ordering it right now. Though.
Kiss Me.
There you go.
Yeah, there's 16 in stock from Amazon.
Is it £330?
No, it's actually $8.81.
Oh, that's
cool.
And delivery is
Very good.
$4.99.
Cool. Might be picking one of those up then.
Yeah.
great idea.
So, yeah, what do we think of Viva Life on Mars? Matt, do you want to go first?
So, yeah, in terms of sequence on the album, it's obviously a massive contrast to Rudebox. And I'm sure this is fully intentional and by design. It's notable that David Bowie wrote a song called Life on Mars in 1971. And maybe there's a little bit of a tribute to that classic, I have a feeling. I love the way it starts with the banjo and the harmonica. It sounds like a real hillbilly song when it kicks off. And yeah, I love some of the lyrics. In particular, take a ride on your high horse. If the horse is blind, then use the force.
That's mine as well.
The falcon flies in 2 straight lines. Red 5 standing by. Now, Red 5 has been a number of different people, but actually, if you didn't know, Red 5 is Luke Skywalker.
Oh.
Which I didn't know until Matt asked our son Luke just this week. Luke, what did you say to him?
Well, I said, who's Red 5? Is it Luke Skywalker? He said, yeah.
As if,
Now-
duh.
Yeah. Luke is like the compendium of Star Wars facts, so
Which
I
is
can
a good thing
validate
that he's called
anything
Luke.
with him. Yeah, he's called Luke as well.
So coincidence.
We
I
are
don't
a
think
Star
so.
Wars loving family, so when we were looking at those lyrics, like, oh yes,
Yeah.
Which I didn't know.
I never made the connection as well, and I just watched over the pandemic. I was at some friends at a friend's place that I was at the time, and we watched over a couple of weekends the whole saga basically.
Yeah.
So now I know what's going on, but I didn't make the connection to Red 5.
No, I hadn't.
yeah.
Well done, Matt, for working that out.
Well, when you dig into these lyrics, you learn so much more than we even ever knew. So it's fun.
Yeah.
And then there's one more before I hand back to you two. Free yourself from liberation from Lake Geneva to the Freeland Station. Obviously, Lucy has reminded me in the notes, and we did talk about it a moment ago, that that's actually a Pet Shop Boys lyric.
Yes.
But for me, little spooky because I think Rob has a house on Lake Geneva now.
Yeah.
So I think there's always been a soft spot for Lake Geneva, now he's got a place there. So interesting coincidence, maybe, or who knows?
The Rudebox conspiracies episode continues.
Yeah. The plot thickens. So, Jacek, do you want to?
Yeah.
What do you think about Viva?
It's a very cowboy type song. I think it puts me in a good mood whenever I listen to it. I have no idea why, and the most recent memory I have with it is during the Under the Radar show, which I hope you'll have a special episode on with various people. That'd be a fun thing to go around maybe do.
I think we will do.
And when he played, I felt really embarrassed about the lyrics because he was like, what am I on about in this? But yeah, I remember I knew, because I've listened to this album so much, I knew every lyric. So I felt really good about that I knew more than he did, even though he had a teleprompter in front of him. So and one of my take a ride on your horse. If the horse is blind, use the force. That's one of my favorites. And love is natural, love is good. Not everybody does it, but everybody should. That's also my favorite. These are my notes.
Yeah.
I kick a ball again a wall. Just the way he says it.
Yeah, well, I think that's my misheard lyric then, because I kick a bow again and whoa, I think I heard most of the time.
Is that because against didn't quite fit?
Against a wall, but it's just that he's
take a syllable or two out.
He's just sort of making it just sound a bit, I don't know, cowboy?
Yeah.
Oh, again, yeah.
Like American kind of, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I do like that
I really
song.
love this song as well. Yeah, it's basically about extraterrestrials, isn't it? And knowing or thinking, believing that there's more out there than we're aware of. We're knee deep in information and they can't stop this conversation.
Yeah.
You know, if the governments out there are hiding stuff from us, they won't hide it for long. We'll work it out ourselves.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
From what I remember, a bit of a grower as well. I don't think it was my first kind of go-to. But after a while, I got into the song.
It was really good when he sung it live, though, wasn't it? He did it really well.
I'm surprised, super surprised.
I was surprised.
I had
as
no
well.
idea that there'll be, some Rudebox songs there. I was expecting some B-sides, but what a gig that was!
I was expecting some Rudebox,
Jeez.
but I wasn't expecting this song from Rudebox.
I think the rest of it might be a
nice.
bit too quick, potentially.
Yeah,
with all the rapping and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a good old Rob song, isn't it? About life on other planets.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there must be, mustn't there? There must be life on other planets.
And that kicked off a whole other episode of his life, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It did.
It's funny. I'm sure all the time that Lucy and I have been together, we probably had this discussion about other things, other realms, dimensions, ghosts, UFOs.
Yeah.
But it was only recently that I asked you, I don't know, maybe I'd forgotten those conversations. I said to Lucy, do you think there's anything else out there? And she was like, yeah, there's got to be.
Of course there is.
And I was like, right answer. Yes. Good.
Has Rob kind of influenced you in any other kind of areas that he's been into? And then you were like, okay, let's talk about this subject. Or
well, we watched
Probably.
Skinwalker Ranch, didn't we?
I know you watched it.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet?
I just watched the Robbie bits.
Oh. She just fast forwarded to the Robbie bits.
Yeah.
Now, I've always been into that. I share a very similar interest. I've always been into the world of paranormal and, what else is out there and that kind of thing. Magic. And I read Arthur C. Clarke's Strange World of Powers along with my brother when we were younger. And we've always been fascinated by the other, whatever that might be. So very open-minded on those kind of things. So I can understand why he spent some time exploring it and thinking about it. Obviously, he's had a few experiences as well.
Yeah, and do you remember around the time of the greatest hits? I'm not sure if you talked about that or not. With Darren Brown, he had an episode.
Oh, Darren Brown, yes.
When
we watched that recently, didn't we?
When they went with the little
those needles
with massive needles through his hands, and I was like wondering, is it because he's got tattoos that he can feel it or something? I don't know, but that was weird as hell.
Yeah. Darren Brown's one of my heroes as well. I'm going to see him soon. So
nice.
Yeah, I love all of his stuff. So obviously I think Robbie does as well. He's incredible. Yeah. He can make people do the weirdest things.
Yeah.
Pretty scary.
Yeah, that made me feel a bit sick watching that.
Yeah, we were watching it thinking, is this entertainment? Seeing someone have like 6 great big needles put through their arm? Whatever it was.
Not for the faint of heart, definitely.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
Okay, should we go on to Love Light?
Yeah. So, written and originally performed by British singer Lewis Taylor, who released 3 singles but didn't have any hits. Love Light wasn't one of Lewis's singles. Lewis said he gave Rob his blessing to cover the song. Mark Ronson produced Rob's cover, which reached number 8 in the UK, number 4 in Italy, and number 6 in Finland when it was released on the 13th of November 2006.
Rob said, I wouldn't have known about Love Light if it hadn't have been for Tom Middleton's The Trip album. He put it on there and I fell in love with it instantly. I can't believe how big that song is and no one knows it. It is amazing to work with a white boy with a ghetto pass like Mark Ronson. He's on the cutting edge of all that is good out there and still manages to love pop. I feel honoured to work with somebody that puts cynicism aside in favour of the truth. I was concerned about singing that vocal because it's full-on falsetto all the way through it, and I'd only ever done that on the chorus of Tripping. I knew that Lewis Taylor had done such a great vocal that it would be really hard to replicate, but I think I did good singing.
Lewis said in 2016, the song Love Light, now made famous, as we all know, by Robbie Williams. I don't know how many people have heard this, but the version on limited edition 2004, titled Love Light West Coast version, is actually the original. It was recorded in early 2001, by which time I was out of a deal and trying unsuccessfully to get a bunch of new material together, recording completely on my own. However, the version that later ended up on Stone Part 1 is the sound of me letting go of the reins and letting Sabina Smith produce me. Robbie Williams would have never covered it in a million years if he had heard the original. Apparently, David Bowie was a fan of Lewis's.
Yeah, I read that somewhere. Mark Ronson said, if you can take a great song and make people want to dance on top of it, then you have the perfect record. The originals of Love Light and King of Bongo are really great songs, but now they're almost jacked up on steroids. And the thing is, when Rob sung Love Light, there was basically nothing there except a drum loop and keyboards. I definitely made it harder for Robbie. Love Light features female backing vocals from American singer NDE, I don't know how you say her name, it's N''DEA, Davenport, who was the lead singer in UK band The Brand New Heavies. She's worked with Madonna and Sly and Robbie, as well as Bootsy Collins, who wrote Boop's Here to Go, which was sampled in Rudebox.
So you're going to go first on this one then,
Yeah,
Lucy?
I'll go first. Yeah, I love Love Light. It's amazing. The beginning is amazing, I think. It says in the credits there's a Moog synthesizer.
No, well, yeah.
So I don't know what that means, but I'm guessing
It's a keyboard.
that's, well, obviously. But I don't know what Moog really means.
It's a brand.
But I'm guessing that's the bit that I like at the beginning with the sounds that it's making.
Oh, yeah.
And then the drum beat kicks in. And it's just, I love his falsetto.
Mm-hmm.
But has he ever sung this live? I don't know. I can't remember.
Did
he sing it on Close Encounters? I think he did, didn't he?
In Leeds, I think. I want to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we have heard it live.
But I don't know whether he'd be able to sing it now. Do you? Think he'd be able to reach that high still? Hopefully, it'd be amazing.
I think if he,
I think
I think if he, put his mind to it, he could.
Yeah,
I agree with you. We've talked about this on some previous episodes. We know that he doesn't like doing his falsetto too much these days. So he'll hit the odd high note, but I think he's maybe not so confident that he can do it. I think he can. I think his voice has changed, but I think he could do it. But he's not. He's not keen. Put it that way.
But if he played this
incredible.
Live, it would be amazing.
The tone of his voice in this is just so good.
Yeah,
it really is.
I personally think that maybe this could have been the first single. If he was worried about Rudebox having been wrong choice, if this had been the first single,
it could have been
how different things would have been.
Well, so for me,
the perception.
It's not an instant, and it took me a while to get into it.
Oh, okay.
Right.
And I thought it was actually his, but it turns out to be a cover, and now maybe that's why. Who knows? But yeah, I remember it was a bit more kind of slower, and I wasn't into that sort of thing at the time. I wanted, to bang my head against the wall and do and dance around and rap and do whatever. So it wasn't definitely a kind of instant for me. Lyric wise, it sounds, I've written down a classic lay test, because it's about two people and figuring out if this relationship is more than just the physical. And it's a when you read it, it's a bit more interesting than when you kind of listen to it, because when you listen to it, the beat kind of takes over the lyric, so you don't really get into it that much. After a while, I'm definitely getting into it a bit more now that I've been listening to it for this preparation for this podcast. But not.
But you prefer Rudebox?
If I were to choose between the two, I'd go with Rudebox's first single still. Yeah. I just remember my sister-in-law saying to me when this came out, "Oh, I really love Robbie's new song. It's really good." And she's never said that about any of his songs ever to me. So I thought, wow. What's going on with that song? She had to say that. It does just make you want to dance, I think.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, there's something quite. I can't even think of the word. I love the way it just winds up at the beginning. You've got that bass line that kicks in, and then it really creates the energy for the whole sort of overall mood of the song. And obviously, as you've already said about Robbie's singing, it's just incredible. It sounds really good. And I like the sort of funky vibe of the song as well. Just kind of takes you along with it. The brass section really makes it pop. What I do want to know, though, is why does she keep turning that love light down?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. What's going on? Why does it keep getting turned down?
Or is he turning it down, but he's blaming her?
Turning it down? True.
Yeah. Exactly.
But she sounds great on it, and I think their voices go really well together on it.
Yeah.
It's perfect
they do.
choice.
They do.
Yeah.
And as I said before, a massive trendsetter, Robbie Williams, because Mark Ronson, huge producer at the moment, and he's kind of catapulted not catapulted, but he helped him, get to the level that he's at the moment. I think, obviously a year later he'd work with Amy Winehouse on her albums, and then become stratospheric ever since
Lily
then.
Allen as well.
And Lily Allen will come next too.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I think it's just an incredible song. And also I noticed that you can really hear Rob's breaths in the production. Like before he's taking a line, you can really hear his breath. And I don't know whether that's something that normally stays in there. And I've noticed now that on the songs that Mark produced on this album, you can hear his breaths, and not so much on the ones that he didn't. So it's obviously a conscious
decision
thing that Mark
Yeah.
has kept in to make it sound kind of authentic and raw, I guess.
Yeah.
That is a level of detail that you only get on the Robbie Williams Rewind podcast. That's incredible, Lucy.
You hear these in various previous B-sides that you've already discussed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't happen very often on an album that's produced.
Do you think
to
it makes
perfection.
it sound more? Is it more authentic?
Yeah, it makes it sound sort of more live.
Slightly more live
and singable in real life instead of,
computer tuned.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought that was interesting. There was one bit in particular where you really heard it, and I was like, wow, I haven't noticed that before. So go on to the video.
Yeah, let's talk about the video. So the video was directed by Jacek Nava and filmed in Vienna, Austria, during a break from tour. Jake has worked with Britney, Beyonce, her Crazy in Love and Single Ladies videos, Arctic Monkeys, Adele and Atomic Kitten. He's won awards including Entertainment Weekly's Top 10 Music Video Directors and the Times 25 Most Influential Music Videos of All Time.
So yeah, what do we think of the video?
Well, there's more Rob in it. So we're happy, aren't we?
Yes. Well, I think he looks great in the video, but in the black shirt and the trousers, with the shirt unbuttoned at the top.
It does remind me of the Robbie Williams show aesthetic slightly. Well, with
the sort of tallness of the room.
Yeah, and his basically his clothes, shirt, and he was kind of similarly dressed at that point.
I mean, it's a room mostly full of women. Obviously, there are men in there as well, but Robbie likes the women in the room. And it looks like a warehouse with sort of a stage in the middle.
And it starts off like it's wearing like Russia or Germany type of place.
It's almost like it's a cult or something.
Everyone's wearing black and red. I do wonder whether it's some sort of cult reference or cult meeting, because everyone's sort of got some form of uniform on. There's flags hanging down.
Yeah.
Black flag with some red dots or some lines or something on it. And then there's a load of funky dancing.
Yeah, he's got some good moves in this video.
Everyone really starts going for it at the end. It sort of starts ratcheting up as the video goes through. And obviously everyone's kind of worshipping him to a certain extent.
The bit I'm not so keen on is some of the shots. It almost looks as though his eyes have been sort of CGI'd a little bit to make them lighter or brighter than... Because it's quite a dark video, and yet sometimes his eyes are looking really... bright. I don't know. Obviously, I love his eyes, but in this video, it seems like they've messed around with them a little bit. I don't know.
Right.
It just makes him look a bit unreal or something. I don't know. It's just me.
I think it's a mashup of the Robbie Williams show clothes, rock DJ sort of room, and some of the shots. Radio because of his kind of facial expressions and that kind of lighting and aesthetic of that demon that he has, and then Sin because of all the women around. Yeah, so it's like true. All of these videos and
all
had a baby. Yes. And Love Light will come out.
Yeah, that is a good assessment. I like that. Let's go on to Bongo Bong and Je ne t'aime plus. It's written by Manu Chao with words by Anouk Khalifa. Rob's version was produced by Mark Ronson and features backing vocals by Lily Allen. Rob said, "I didn't pick this song, it picked me. King of the Bongo was played to me by a couple of friends of mine 6 years ago, and I always thought, I've got to cover this. And now was the right time. King of the Bongo to me is like an unwritten Disney film. It's cheeky, it's an amazing song too, and it's very Robbie Williams, for me anyway. It was, oh, I wish I'd written that. How did Lily Allen end up on here? I knew about her as I had met her at the studio, before she was anybody, and now she won't take my calls."
Ooh.
That's obviously just a joke.
Lily said, "I was recording with Mark Ronson, and he was working on Robbie's album. It was before anything happened with me. He needed a female vocalist. I said fine, and did it, and I think Robbie's quite pleased now. I think they sound pretty good. Though I can't actually remember what they were called or how they go." This was Mano Chao's first solo single. It was a remake of King of Bongo, a song from Mano Chao's previous band, Mano Negra. The title and lyrics are taken from the 1939 jazz song King of Bongo Bong by Black American trumpeter Roy Eldridge, which was written by Jackson and Eldridge. The song is part of a medley with Je ne t'aime plus on his album, and so Rob combined them into one track. Manu's Bongo Bong reached number 3 in Italy, number 4 in Austria, and number 7 in Germany between 1999 and 2000.
A video short was created for this song and directed by Ken Wardrop, who said, "The idea for the film came from a conversation I had with a friend about a weird man that lived at the end of his road. I was of the impression that every road had its own weird character, and I started to gossip about my own respective weirdo. Eventually we concluded that these characters probably led far more interesting and happier lives than our own. I thought this would fit well with the lyrics of Bongo Bong. The final film is full of characters that I cast from an extras website. I did an initial interview with all of them and worked with their own stories to keep it as real as possible. Once more, we couldn't find the video anywhere, but now it seems like we have. We just got to go onto Amazon and order it.
And get the 20th anniversary version of Rudebox with the DVD.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go first, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got loads to say, but it's a good, fun song. And I guess one of the first things that I wanted to address was, so when we were talking about a bongo bong here, are we actually talking about a bong which you used to smoke drugs from, or
Don't know.
or I mean, considering it wasn't written by Rob, maybe not. Maybe the bong, maybe because it comes from bongo. Is bongo a place, or King of the Bongo? It was a Congo. Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't think it's to do with the bong. If it was in 1939,
it could have came about. I mean, there was around that time when that album was happening. I think in LA there was a bit of that going on, so it might have inspired the song a little bit. I remember the song because it was played to me at parties. The original, the Manu Chao version. And then I was like, oh, but there's a Robbie version, can we put that on instead? So my friends did appreciate that, so I tried to get everyone as obsessed as me, but I only succeeded in a couple.
And then, as we like to, educate a little bit, for those that don't speak French, obviously Lucy speaks absolutely fluent French when we go to France, don't you?
No, I've got
a French A level.
Got a D in French A level.
But je ne t'aime plus, mon amour, is I don't love you anymore, my love. And je ne t'aime plus tous les jours is I don't love you all day anymore.
Yes.
So, just in case anyone wanted to know that. I think. I mean, French speakers out there probably tell me I've got that slightly wrong, but there we go. I went to and then I love these lyrics. I went to the big town, and then I put London, Los Angeles, I know it's not his language, not his lyrics, but where there is a lot of sound from the jungle to the city, is Stoke the jungle, maybe? Digging here, looking for a bigger crown. That fits with Rob.
Yeah.
And then, great saxophone solo just before the French bit at the end.
And then I guess all the lyrics perfectly sum up Rudebox's critical success.
Oh, tell us more.
Well, if we just quickly go through them, I mean, I went to the big town where there's a lot of sound. So I play my boogie for the people of big city, but they don't go crazy when I'm banging on my boogie.
Oh yeah, that's good talk.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. That he's being kind of almost a prophet of what would happen to Rudebox as an album on this song.
True.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, I do like the Je ne t'aime plus, mon amour. Je ne t'aime plus. Je m'appelle Robert.
Yes.
J'habite Los Angeles et London.
Yes, I love that as well. I wrote that down.
And then he says one thing, one line, and then I don't know what to talk. But I always heard either that or I don't know, it's the dog, as if he farted.
I hear je t'aime les filles. I don't know what or how to talk.
Yeah.
I hear je t'aime les filles, as in I like the girls.
All right.
That's what I hear.
Oh, yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
Only Rob knows, really.
I'd like to know what Ida thinks of his French accent on this song, seeing as she speaks French, and whether she's heard it. I'm sure she must have done.
I mean, this is a prime example of how much fun he had making this album. Those little bits at the end of some of the songs.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah. Job satisfaction.
Lily sounds great.
Job satisfaction.
Lily sounds amazing, doesn't she, on this song, and fits right in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And as I said before, catapult to a huge career. So Rob's done that over and over and over again, I don't think there would be a Michael Bublé without the Swing album. Controversial.
True.
Who knows? For some listeners out there are like, what's he talking about? Get him off.
I have a particular memory of being, when I still worked in London, one of my colleagues had his own band and he had a MySpace page and he thought he was really cool. And he's saying something about Lily Allen. And I just said, well, you know that she sings on a couple of songs on Rudebox, and she did that before she became famous. And his face dropped. It was like, what are you saying? How can Robbie have had her like on an album before? He was just almost disgusted at the idea.
Yeah, and Mark Ronson and all these people.
Yeah, he was like, what? How can he have had these cool people on his album? But it's really crap in his view.
Because there's people just don't are allergic to mainstream.
Yes,
and I think that's Rob's biggest. Well, Rob's biggest problem at the time. That there was quite a lot of him, like Ed Sheeran right now. Ed Sheeran is everywhere. You open the fridge and Ed Sheeran pops up from a Heinz bottle ketchup, So I think there can't be too much of you. And at the time, even though he wasn't doing as much as some of the artists do now. Being on TikTok, being on TV shows, being on, Netflix shows or various other things and stuff. I just think people just had, a bit too much of him and wanted to listen to something like Coldplay, which was indie at the time. And then they became mainstream. So there was a whole thing about hating Coldplay because they're mainstream.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I like mainstream and I'm a mainstream type of guy. If I was to boil myself down to 5 artists and bands, it would be Robbie number 1, Eminem number 2, Elvis number 3, Coldplay and U2 maybe on the same, and then Queen, a bit of Queen.
So mainstream.
Yeah, and all of these bands are pretty much loved universally, and they were one of the biggest things at some point. And Ed Sheeran as well. Quite like Ed Sheeran, but not latest stuff, but that's not the podcast that we're talking about.
We're seeing Coldplay and Ed Sheeran this year.
Oh, lovely. Great stuff. Yeah.
We're taking the kids to see Coldplay, but we're going to see Ed Sheeran. So.
Where's that?
Wembley.
Both at Wembley.
Oh, that's going to be good. I've always wanted to see Coldplay, never see it. Saw them once live in 2009 or 2011. But that was before the Milo Xyloto tour, so they didn't have all the lights and stuff.
At Glastonbury, but not their actual own concert. So it should be cool.
Yeah. Nice one.
Anyway, back to Robbie.
Should we move on to She's Madonna?
Yeah, okay. So, She's Madonna, written by Rob, Neil Tennant and Chris Lowe from the Pet Shop Boys and produced by the Pet Shop Boys. This was the 3rd single released from Rudebox on the 5th of March 2007. It got to 16 in the UK, 2 in the Netherlands, Croatia and Czech Republic, 3 in Belgium, Italy and Spain, 4 in Denmark and Germany. In the 2007 year-end chart, it was number 27 in Italy. It went gold in Germany and Denmark. Neil Tennant said, Robbie had this idea about writing a song about Madonna. He had the lyric for the chorus, I love you, baby, but you can't understand, she's Madonna. And I had a line, I don't miss you, just who you used to be. It came together very quickly.
Rob said, my life seems to be like a never-ending edition of Jim Will Fix It. I am truly blessed. Controversial, I know.
That quote didn't,
I wasn't sure.
He said it at the time.
Yes. I was just deliberating on whether to include that bit.
No, it's what he said.
It's what he said at the time.
So,
It was a different time.
It was. The odds of Robbie Williams making a 9th album 10 years ago would have been more than long against. To be writing this album and having my heroes work with me feels phenomenal. I played Tour de France by Kraftwerk and said, I like this. Can we do something like this, but not much like this? But then everything else came together pretty quickly. In case anyone asks, there is nothing tongue-in-cheek about this song at all. I have always fancied Madonna. I'd have hoped for it to be this good, but you can never tell before venturing into the studio. It is just a bonus that it worked out so well.
Rob explained, well, I was lying in my bed with a very attractive female watching TV and a very attractive actress came on to be interviewed. I instantly wanted her and not the person I was with. It's a man thing. It's like pretty things. So collectible, why not collect them all?
Oh,
Madonna
is that a lyric from Take That?
Yes. Yeah, this quote came around the Progress time, yeah.
Yeah. So collectible, why not collect them all? Yeah. Madonna became the focal point for the bigger, better offer and ultimately the futility of endless want and lust, never seeing what you've got because of unrealistic, unobtainable desires. She's Madonna is about being a man and the grass is always greener. The biggest icon of the last 20 years has got to be Madonna. I'm a massive fan of hers and there hasn't been a big song about Madonna. This is it.
So I wanted to say that I think that actually this song is about his
Madonna?
ex, Tanya, what's her name? Tanya Strecker.
Oh.
Because Tanya was the stepdaughter of David Enthoven, his manager.
Yeah.
And so I don't know whether Robbie and Tanya actually went out, but they were certainly pictured a lot together. She was a TV presenter for a while. And so her ex-boyfriend is Guy Ritchie. And there's rumours that Guy dumped, well, not rumours, Tanya says that Guy dumped her for Madonna. And I'm not going to get into salacious gossip, but if you Google Tanya Strecker and Guy Ritchie and Madonna, you'll get some interesting information.
I thought this wasn't a gossip podcast.
Well, it's
the
not.
Rudebox
No, I love it.
conspiracy
I love it.
continues.
So Lisa, you've got what we got to do?
well,
Gone to Google. And
Just
have
Google Tanya Strecker
just Google those names.
and she,
right.
there's an interview she gave that was quite interesting in terms of timings of her relationship and Guy Ritchie,
And
let's
you
say.
can make your own mind up about what's actually happening there.
Yes. So therefore, this song has come out of a conversation that Rob's obviously had with Tanya about how she got dumped by Guy Ritchie for Madonna. And he's using that whole of grass is green or I was in bed with an actress thing as a different story to protect Tanya's privacy, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Ooh.
that I'm sure that is what it's about.
Now we're getting deep.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, yeah, but I love this song anyway. I think it's amazing. It's great. The clever bits like how he says "You're frozen now," as per Madonna's song "Frozen," but she's got her groove on, i.e., get into the groove. And later on, he says something about this used to be my playground.
Groove FM.
That bit's so funny. Like, what is he saying? Is he actually speaking in another language?
Yeah, he's speaking like in the Nobody Someday deleted scenes or whatever, the DVD extras. He was on the ski lift and he speaks in Spanish, I think it is, and it sounds similar to that. So it's so I think it's another play on that gag that he's already done.
Because I wasn't sure if it's actually decipherable what he's saying or whether it's just almost gibberish.
I couldn't work it out.
You know, if it is an actual other language and he's not just making words up to sound as if they're another language.
Yeah, that could be the thing. But I think he is actually speaking Spanish because when you put the English subtitles on the Nobody Someday DVD, then they translate it to English.
Ah, okay.
And he says something like Backstreet Boys, scary. Yeah. So it's that kind of gag because he does a similar something. I can't remember.
I just think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's got some great lyrics in it though, hasn't it?
It does indeed.
We're having drinks with Kate and Stella.
Yeah.
Kate Moss and Stella McCartney, presumably.
Yeah. Gwyneth's here. She's brought a fella. That's Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin. Another Coldplay reference. Yeah. But
obviously,
as we know from Field, they've been good friends and talked.
And not so as well.
Yeah.
Well, they are, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many mainstream links with Rob there.
Yes.
You know, and that's why I think he's also my favourite because he's, you know, always been part of something or knows someone who's, you know, been in that.
Yeah, knows everybody.
Yeah. But my favourite lyric is, that we're having drinks with Kate and Stella and this look of love says I'm leaving, you're frozen now, I've done the freezing, I'm walking out, Madonna's calling me. So I just imagine him with various women in Los Angeles in bed who have no idea who he is, and he gets bored and watches MTV and just decides to
What's Madonna?
Go and find his Madonna. And there is Ida now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it because we've all got the same favourite line. I love that line, that lyric as well. We're having drinks with Kate Stella.
It's just so funny, isn't it?
Just, all I want to do is take Madonna home. It's brilliant. And I think it's superb that Rob got to write this with his heroes, the Pet Shop Boys, and they produced it. That must have been just so... I know he's been long time friends with them, but must have been so magical to go through that whole process with them. And I love the lyric, "Face it, she's Madonna. No man on earth could say that he don't wanna." I love the synth vibes in the song, the keyboards, the electro sounds. It's all very, very Pet Shop Boys. It's just brilliant. And then a couple more lyrics. "She's got to be obscene to be believed." That's definitely Madonna.
Yeah.
"That's her routine, not what she means to me." And so, she's always been outrageous, basically.
I like "You're younger too, but she's got her groove on." That's like basically, you may be fit and young and amazing, but she's Madonna.
Yeah. It's like, she's doing something with her life. She's real and authentic to her, and she's doing her thing. Meanwhile, you're here with me, and and that might not be as appealing to him, basically.
Yeah. It's great.
Huge
great
conversation piece in Poland as well. I remember at the time, everyone was like, "But why is he singing about Madonna?" Because at the time, Madonna wasn't. I'm not sure if she was coming out with any singles at the time. So maybe no, she was. She was with the time goes by so slowly. The ticking
probably was around that time.
And everyone was like, "Yeah, but is she really that fit?" And they were taking it really seriously, as if he's wanting to go after Madonna now. Whereas you can't take Rob as kind of 1-to-1 with what he's saying. You've got to scratch beneath the surface a little bit. Whereas all of these pundits and TV shows and magazines and everyone else is trying to take everything as face value, which is not the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to wonder whether there's some parallels here, haven't you? Whether, the difference between Rob, as in human Rob, and Robbie, the brand or the character, and Madonna, the brand, the character, and what she's like at home. Does she just potter about at home like everybody else does in her slippers and a dressing gown, just kind of like chilling out, or is she always just having manic sex orgies the whole time? I think she's probably a bit more like everybody else. She might have a bit of an ego, but I don't know. Getting too deep again now. Let's move on.
Okay. Well, the video was directed by Johan Renck, who also did Tripping. In You Know Me, Rob said, "It can be a bit too easy doing generic aftershave commercials for your song, and there was an eclectic weirdness for this video that I liked. It was different and pierced the screen in a different kind of way. It was also weird and wonderful being around a load of trannies, and it was nice to be a tranny for a little bit, even though I don't make the best woman. I'd like to be more beautiful as a woman."
So we see Robbie's private persona, which is a woman, getting interviewed. And during the interview, Robbie talks about his multiple personalities. He talks about himself and how God channels through him and helps him perform, but sometimes God doesn't turn up. And when people get FaceTime with him, they tell him he's a good guy. A bit nutty, like he's got a split personality. The interview ends with the journalist asking what the private persona wants to say to the stage Robbie. The message in the video seems to be about the struggle between being yourself and being that person that everyone else wants you to be. Yeah.
Well, it's certainly an interesting video, isn't it?
Indeed it is, yeah. Another conversation piece, another way to shock and be like, buy my album, because it's good, and I'm gonna grab your attention by doing something out there. I mean,
I have to say that he doesn't make the best woman in that video, but I feel like they didn't make very much of an actual effort to turn him into a proper.
I think he's he's tried multiple times probably to do that and dress up as a woman. We've got the plane ride during the the Nebworth tour.
What, when he was walking around with women's underwear on the plane?
Yeah, on the plane. And then you've got him dressing up as Sunita on X Factor.
Oh, that was classic.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
So, just Rob is really comfortable in his skin and he can do anything he wants, which misconstrues his sexuality a lot of the time and is something to write about. But,
I love his straight face as well, because even though he's got his acting sort of straight face on, you can still see the grin behind it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though he's doing that deadly serious, when he's the woman, at the beginning he's doing that deadly serious piece and he's being really serious, but you can still somehow see that there's some smile on his face. You know what I mean? It just makes me laugh. It's clever. And I think how he goes from being a woman in a drag club to then being on stage, but then being a man in a drag club is a bit of a role reversal, isn't it? You know, that wouldn't normally be the way around.
It gives me also a bit of advertising space vibes. With that dress.
Because,
the
glittery stage
stuff.
outfit.
Yeah.
I prefer the outfit in this video to the one in that video, though. Advertising space. I prefer. He looks better, I think.
Well, he doesn't have the hair in this one.
Yes. Yeah. That's probably what it is. Yeah.
And I picked up on a few odd throwbacks in the sort of that weird interview bit. I'm not the only one who's got multiple personalities. And then something about jumbo cataclysm happens, etc. And then he says, you can drop Millennium out of the set and she's the one, and then we can go home early.
Which is the conversation he has on every tour, probably.
Yeah,
exactly. Just so it's funny.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good video. I like it. It's just unique.
Yeah.
Would we like to see it live?
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to see him sing She's Madonna live.
Yes.
Do you think he would? Because it's also quite high, I think.
I think he would, yeah. Especially, say, if he got the Pet Shop Boys.
Oh, there's all those incredible harmonies and stuff behind it as well. Yeah, I think it would sound really good live. Yeah.
We basically need a Rudebox night.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
The
if we just did
Roundhouse.
Rudebox from start to finish.
Yeah.
Just all Rudebox, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Love that.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
So, shall we move on to Keep On?
Let's go.
Okay. Written by Rob, Stephen Duffy and Chris Heath, and produced by Mark Ronson, this featured the backing vocals of Lily Allen again. Rob said, "There were 3 things I taped off the TV that I used to watch on repeat when I was a kid. Prince's Alphabet Street Tour, Public Enemy at Brixton, and the Happy Mondays at GMEX. I suppose I was interested in the Happy Mondays because they looked like psychedelic, next-door neighbours with faces and attitude that I understood. Little did we all know that in 2006 we would still be chasing 1989. I can't remember lyrics at the best of times. There are so many in this, so I doubt I will ever do it live. It is about choosing a different kind of life and believing in the boogie and all it brings."
The lyric, Hotel, Motel, Holiday Inn, is from Rapper's Delight, largely considered the first rap song. Obviously, in our earlier quote, Rob thinks this should have been dropped from the album, though. It's the only song he wrote with Stephen that appears on the album.
So, what do we think of Keep On?
I love that song. If I like you liked Love Light, I like Keep On, and it's an instant for me. When I heard that, I was like, yes. Not too much of like a deeper meaning in the lyrics, at least for my understanding, or when I was listening to it, because I just thought, fruiting, sleuting, got no strings but a thing with my ding-a-ling-a-ling. It's just wonderfully crazy. More nonsense than Viva Life on Mars.
Yeah.
I think Viva Life on Mars has more sense than this song. But
definitely. This song's nutty, isn't it?
But I just love the beat. And yeah, it starts off very kind of slow and then it just launches into this full-on rap and beat. I love it. I absolutely love Keep On. But in a ranking of songs, I'm struggling for this album because I don't know what to choose. We'll get to that at the end.
Well, you're not the only one there.
Yeah.
You're not the only one.
I like the running in the fast lane, speeding in the dark, trying to maintain the feeling in your heart. I think he's just got a really nice tone to his voice in that bit. And his vocal is incredible. Like, he definitely can rap.
Yeah.
He's just amazing on it, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, all the lyrics are nuts in this song. Really are. I mean, I picked up on the same thing about ding-a-ling-a-ling. We're continually reminded about that throughout the song, which I just find amusing. And I love the contrast between the rap talking parts and the really deep singing from Rob as well, because he's singing, he's showing his range again here and going really quite deep.
Yeah.
But I'm still left thinking, what on earth is this song actually all about? His life? You know, sometimes it's better not to ask that, but do you know?
No.
It's just nuts.
No, it's just a series of tongue twisters.
Exactly. I was going to say tongue twister type of song. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just, wanted to practice my English with using this song, even though for most of it I had no idea what I was saying or rapping or singing or whatever.
So you were shouting out about your ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling, being oblivious to the fact, because I was 13 at the time, that ding-a-ling-a-ling means what it means. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Mind you, we've been singing along with Rob lyrics for years in our adulthood, not quite knowing what some of them mean, and yeah.
I mean, Rock DJ has pretty raunchy lyrics in it.
It does, yeah.
And no one knows.
Yes.
Yeah.
You noticed that, didn't you? Yeah, some of the tongue twisters, I'm going to see if I can do them.
Oh, let's hear it. Come on then.
Okay. I think with my ding-a-ling-a-ling, can't sing, can't speak, ting-tongs, tong-ting, I'm popping. Wing-chang with the ching-ching, ting-tongs, tong-ting. Two for the two, ting-tong, ting-two, staunting, twos-two, luking, fruits, fruiting, sleuths, sleuthing. I'll never make a rapper.
Lucy, that's brilliant.
Very good.
I mean, the thing is, you sound so eloquent, whereas Robbie Stoke accent sounds a little bit different.
A bit better, I'd say.
But that was really good. You could do it. It's a different style, but
We've got the recording now, so we just speed it up a little bit. And
I think we want to hear a bit more, don't we?
No, that's enough.
Got the lyrics right here on my phone. Look.
That should be its own clip on the group.
Oh, God.
Actually, yeah, that's a good clip to take.
Oh,
yeah,
no. But Lily sounds good on it again, doesn't she?
Yes.
She fits really well. Yeah. Really distinctive tone. And also interesting that Chris Heath contributed to the lyrics, and I wonder how many of the tongue twisters he helped come up with.
Yeah.
Being probably a bit of a wordy kind of guy, as he's an author.
It's clever. When you actually look at the lyrics on paper or on your phone, it's just...
Yeah.
And Lily Allen's lyrics are quite interesting, because I never kind of put my head into it until now when I was reading the lyrics, and it's, I love my mom and I love my dad. They never had any love I've had. So much love is driving me mad.
Yeah.
It's a very good lyric.
It is.
Yeah.
It
really works.
Crazy song.
Yeah. It just fits so well into the song there, doesn't it? It just really works with it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just Rob having loads and loads of fun making this album. That's a very good classic song that shows how much fun he can have making music.
Yeah. And it comes across, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The fun.
So moving on to Good Doctor.
Yeah.
Written by Rob and Jerry Meehan and produced by Mark Ronson. Rob said, originally we had a sample from The Return of Django by the Upsetters, but we got rid of that. But we could always do that later. Sorry, the Upsetters. It came from trying to bend the rules of a sober life. I am 32 and still trying to look for a shortcut. There isn't one. Is it hard to rhyme all those medical terms? No, but it is hard to find a perfect balance.
I'm a great bunch of guys. There's many Robbie Williams. The Good Doctor is an extreme version of me trying to bend the rules of sobriety. All the songs are my emotions times 100. And Good Doctor is another Robbie Williams. I straddle the line. Half of me is sports Billy, healthy and play football, and the other half just loves drugs, staying in bed all day and drinking coffee. The Good Doctor is the bad half, or the good half, whichever way you see it.
Keith Moon was the drummer of The Who, known for his wild and ultimately self-destructive lifestyle. On September 6, 1978, he took 32 clomethazole tablets, a drug used to treat alcohol withdrawal symptoms. He overdosed as a result and died aged just 32. Even though the doctor's telling Robbie to take it easy with one pill a day, Robbie implies he's going to live as carelessly as Keith did and take more. Coincidentally, Robbie was also 32 at the time of recording. So what do we think about Good Doctor? Who wants to go first?
Shall I?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really clever lyrics. It's really funny to listen to, but it's very sad, I find, to listen to, because you know the addiction problems that Rob was actually having at the time, and how bad things did get and how terrible things could have been. Yeah. So in that respect, it sort of makes you feel a bit somber, but I try and ignore that and then enjoy the fun side of it. The take that line always makes me laugh. There's obviously a bit of irony there. And I like how he says, "I'm Keith Moon, dickhead."
Yeah.
That's why if I take him for like more than a few days in a row, I get that haunted look. I like how it's a great delivery there, that line.
Yeah.
And the bit about if you go to the barber shop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. If you go to the doctor's regular, then you've got to be a fuck up. And that always reminds me of when he says about living in LA, that if you live in LA long enough, you'll end up getting plastic surgery because it's like being in the barbers and not getting a haircut. He's used that analogy before. And I'm a little bit down from too much tea. And I think that's obviously being the British stereotype of being a Brit drinking tea.
Well, yeah, and there's also the play on the fact that you know, Brits always say, "Oh, a cup of tea will make it better."
Oh, that's true.
So, unfortunately, if you keep drinking tea, it actually doesn't always make things better. Yeah. But it is the very British answer, isn't it? To have a cup of tea, it'll be all right.
What do you think?
Well, I love this song.
Yes.
One of my favourites on the album, definitely. Me and my friend Kuba, who is a childhood friend of mine. We've known each other since when I was in school, so 2000. So 22 years this year. We listen to this song quite a lot, and there's another song which we'll get to that we listen to quite a lot as 13-year-old boys, and. Yeah, it's a sad song, as you say, looking at what happened to Rob and later on when he was going to rehab again and all that kind of stuff. But it's really fun. He does a really good rap. And I also have that lyric in. And if you go to your barbershop long enough, then you're going to get a haircut. If you go to the doctors regularly, then you got to be a fuck up. Now I've got 5 or 6 if I'm at a loss. Do I have a history of drug abuse? No, I never tick that box.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And then at the very end I love as well when he lists all of them, all of the drugs and that, and I learnt them by heart. I remember trying to get all the butyrophenol and all of them in. It's not like I've been doing any research or anything, but if you give me any of the following pills, I'd be very, very grateful because I feel poorly. So that's codeine, morphine, opium, methadone, mephredine, hydroxycodone, anodine, buprenorphine, butyrophenol, adidine, something else.
Adderall.
But not
Adderall.
St. Joe's Wort because I can get that at Boots.
Boots.
That is like the best line, isn't it?
Well, I can't add anything to that because you two have summed up absolutely everything about the song. I mean,
it's got that funky piano in it as well.
Yeah.
Which you don't kind of, remember.
Yes.
But it's there, and it's a nice little accent, yeah.
Yeah. It's a very clever song, once again. Very light-hearted ditty about something quite serious and, quite a struggle. But it's sort of fun at the same time. It's the usual juxtaposition of Rob being ironic and contrasting things. And, that last line, I agree with Jacek. Because I can get that at Boots. It's just...
Not that you've ever seen him in boots, but...
No.
That's why he doesn't go there.
Also, the world carries on spinning. We're mad, innit? I like that.
Yeah.
In it.
Just the in it. It's great. It's a brilliant song.
It's both retrospective and then... Would you call it when you think about the stuff that's happening around at the moment? So retrospective and I guess present-spective, if that's a word. That's not a word. But yeah, because he says take
contemplative.
That. So like
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a time from the 90s, and also a time when he was writing that. It probably was a thing for him. That haunted look. And all that kind of stuff, which is, sad. But we're glad that he managed to get out of it. So
exactly,
good stuff.
And we've had lots of albums since, which is good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's go on to The Actor.
Yep.
The Actor. Written by Rob, Brandon Christie and Craig Russo, and produced by Brandon and Craig. Written in LA over 3 or 4 days at Rob's home. Rob said, partly written on Oscars night, The Actor is about living in LA and how it has given me little respect for the acting profession. I don't see this as a dance song at all. I see it as a story over Germanic electro-pop. You've got to have a sense of humour about what you do. I wrote the song because I find a lot of interviews done by actors distasteful. I loved working with her. She's such a brave actress. She makes brave choices. And I also suppose I've been out on loads of dates in LA, and the people that I tend to go on dates with, they've all melted into the same ugly ambition.
Craig said, in the studio, Rob is like a well-tuned machine, so it didn't take long to record the vocals. One of those nights, we brought over the female vocalist, Marsha Thomason, whose spoken voice is featured in the verses, and recorded her. Then we took it back to our studio where we spent about 2 weeks in production and mixing. There were a few stages though, so we would go back and tweak a few things. It all took place over the course of a month or so.
Brandon Christie and Craig Russo also co-wrote Bodies. Brandon is an American composer who mainly does film and TV music now. Brandon is an old friend of Jerry's. Jerry invited Brandon to come hang out with him and Rob. Rob asked to hear some of his and Craig's music. They sent him some and he loved it. So they got together and wrote a couple of tracks.
A short video was created for The Actor and was directed by Ben Ibb, who said, The Actor was inspired by the current boom of US screen acting and method acting seminars, which Rob alludes to in the lyrics to the track. I researched plenty of instructional DVDs, brochures and seminars from courses based in and around Hollywood, and I came to the conclusion that A, you'd have to be insane to join one of these courses, and B, if you did, your chances of becoming a famous actor would be instantly reduced to 0. Again, we sadly couldn't find the video anywhere, but now, obviously, we do know where that video is, so we will be watching that. So, yeah, I love that. Your chances of becoming a famous actor would instantly be reduced to 0.
Would you like to go first?
Yeah, I've written down it's a Nostradamus type of song because it does predict the future at the very end of the song.
Yes.
And I know I constantly skip to the end of the song because the ends are so good in on this album, and it's not a dig to these songs or to this album. It's just they end in these like great moments. And The Actor is also a song that does that. So in the future, everybody will be anonymous for 15 minutes. That's a quote changed quote from Andy Warhol, I believe, who said, in the future, everybody will be famous for 15 minutes or something like that.
That's clever, isn't it?
And look at us now with all the TikToks and YouTubes and, we're doing a podcast, so we've got our 15 minutes too. Where's our 15 minutes of anonymity? Well, we've had it in the beginning of the 2000s and then it all kind of faded away.
That's true.
Yeah. And then obviously the rest of the song previously is about all the female actresses. I assume he's seen, been dating, that always tell him that they are this, that, and the other, and they're actually fake. Yes,
which obviously he didn't end up with because he found Ida, who turned out to be an actress but real.
Exactly. and that's what I mean, like with Rob's songs, and the lyrics, there's always, you'd think, the actor, it's just a lyric, but it's got all of these layers to it, which are great.
Yeah.
Well done, Rob. Pat on the back.
I think it's a very clever song. And I love the bit where Rob is singing and the female singer's sort of responding to him. And then the spoken actor part, and I know I'm saying this first because I know it's Lucy's picked up on this as well. We know that he's talking about actors, famous actors there, and it's Drew Barrymore, right? But whenever he says Barrymore, we just can't help thinking about the UK TV game show presenter, Michael Barrymore.
Yeah, it's just,
when we hear that.
I have to force my brain to think of Drew Barrymore.
It must just be ingrained into pop culture in the UK. Every time we hear Barrymore, that's
it's
who
Michael
it is,
Barrymore.
But obviously that's not who he meant.
No. I find it fun listening to all the actors' names and trying to think who they are.
Yeah.
But I don't know who Bundy is meant to be. Do you?
Well, could it be Al Bundy from what's the
it's like an American sitcom,
with Frank Sinatra, Love and Marriage,
it must be that. Okay.
Yeah, it sounds right.
But there might be someone else called Bundy.
That sounds fitting for Robbie, I think.
Yeah. And I find it funny how he keeps saying Joaquin. I think he obviously just likes that name and just finds it fun to just keep saying it.
Yeah.
And then suddenly just goes, swank.
Swank. Yeah.
It's just
swank. And then like saying that as well.
Obviously Madonna and Richie.
Yes.
Once again in another song.
Yeah.
And Dame Judi Dench. I love that.
Judi Dench is the best actor listed on that list, I'd say. She's amazing.
Yeah, she is. Incredible.
So yeah, I do really like this song. It's just, it's great. Another fun song.
I agree. But sonically, what do we think?
Well, I think it's funny that he ended up marrying an actress after all this, slagging off actresses and saying something. Didn't he say something about hate? I can't remember what the line is, but something about hate, spilling out my hate or something.
Oh, now let me fill you with my hate.
Yeah, that's it.
Naughty.
And yet he's married an actress, so I find that funny.
Yeah, well, there were some teething problems there, weren't there?
That's true.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't an easy sell.
No.
It's worked out well in the end.
Yeah.
But sonically, I'm not it wouldn't be on my list to listen
same.
to it over and over. Lyrically, I like it. Sonically, slightly less.
Yeah, I'd agree. Right, so the next song is Never Touch That Switch.
Even if you want to.
Written and produced by Kelvin and Danny, this originally appeared on Soul Mechanic's 81 album, which was released in 2005. Rob said, "The first records I bought were electro records, and I never thought in a million years it would be something Robbie Williams could do. It only struck me in the studio as we were recording. Although I didn't write this one, it just reminded me of pre-narcotics and pro-stealing your mum's lino. What does it mean? I don't know. It is in the eye of the beholder. To me, Never Touch That Switch is all about never opening your system to the mood-altering experience. You don't know what it can do to you. In a 2011 blog, when asked what his favourite Rudebox song was, Rob said he didn't know, but that Never Touch That Switch was the artist he'd like to be.
Another short video was created and directed by Ben Ibb, who said, Never Touch That Switch came out of an obsession with the history of magic. Oh, love it. I'm going to have to watch this one. I love magic. A friend got me in touch with Ray Teller from Penn and Teller, who I'm a huge fan of. Teller revealed to me a whole history of the magic saw trick from the 1930s. Although the trick has been executed amazingly over the years, I love the idea of discovering the worst ever performance of this trick. So I invented an imaginary late 80s Russian magic show in which the trick was performed unsuccessfully on live TV with tragic results. Ooh, I don't know I want to watch that now. No. Imagine if this had actually happened on live daytime TV, it would be like Richard and Judy meets the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So, with Never Touch That Switch, I think Rob, or maybe the production of it, purposely, his voice is slightly distorted. There's something slightly different. It's been fiddled with quite a lot. So it sounds a little bit different, and also sounds slightly manic on this one, I think, which I guess is purposeful. I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe he had a bit of a hoarse voice, or his voice was hoarse at the time. I'm not sure, but I think it was probably in production. I'm really not sure what to make of this song.
Well,
usual Matt question here. What switch are we talking about?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's just
the Rudebox switch.
Is it the Rudebox switch?
I think so. I'd never touch it though.
No,
don't turn it off. Just leave it as it is.
So enlighten me. What do you think about this song?
It's my least favourite song on the album, and if I'm honest, I used to skip it.
Oh, it's a skipper
every time. So it got to the point when this was on in my car on the CD that I would just generally just skip.
Is it because it's so sort of zany and weird and
repetitive?
Does your head in a bit?
There's a schism in the time mechanism being repeated.
I like that lyric.
It's very down, isn't it? Is it that it's sort of?
I just couldn't listen. Now I actually can listen to it and I don't mind it as much.
Yeah.
But back when this album came out, I literally couldn't listen to it.
It's almost off key. There's something sort of depressing about it, isn't there?
Yeah. But then Rob didn't write it, so I don't feel so bad saying that.
There you go. It's like me with Love Light. So yeah, all good. Now I think I didn't know Rob didn't write it, but I do like that there's a schism in the time mechanism because I like how that lyric sounds, and I just think it's one of the most Rudebox songs on this album because of his different voice and because. It's such a weird song. At the time, it might have been a skipper as well, or I'd get to the middle of it and maybe then skip it. I don't know.
It goes on too long.
Yeah, it's a very experimental song, and I don't mind it. It's got its own quality to it with the voice and with the schisms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of used to worry me that he used to say that was the artist he'd like to be, because I was like, oh my God, if you became that artist, then that would be the end.
So that's where you draw the line.
That is where I would draw the line.
Okay. Yeah. So I did get my answer from the beginning of the show.
You did, eventually.
There you go.
That's why I said there's a couple of songs rather than an album.
Yeah. What about you, Matt? What do you think about it?
Yeah, as I said, I'm not quite sure what to make of it. It's certainly not one that I would just think, oh, I'll put Never Touch That Switch on. No. Do I skip it? No. So, but no.
Because I think after a while you kind of get into it. It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
As if you don't skip it at the very beginning, maybe, or by like the middle bit or something, then it will. I don't know. I know I just said that I listened to it halfway through and then I skipped it, but I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I find his voice just a bit haunting in this one. It kind of does something weird to me when I listen to it. It's sort of, as I said, it's slightly off key, or there's something that they've done with his voice that it's so down. It sort of pulls me down when I'm listening to it. So it makes me not feel that great listening to this song.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Let's move on. It's depressing me.
Yeah. Let's go on to Louise.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
So, written by J. Callis, P. Oakley, and A. Wright of the Human League. Rob said, "When I was writing and recording Intensive Care with Stephen, Louise by the Human League kept on being the centre point on what I wanted to achieve with the record. With Louise, I remember when it first came out, and then I didn't listen to it for ages until the middle of the 90s. When I heard it again, it kind of broke my heart thinking of a period of time I had back when I wanted to make an album that would hopefully break a few hearts in 10, 15 years' time. Louise was the template for the Intensive Care album, so it seemed the natural next step to pay homage to it, and I think we've done a good version of it. I'd always wanted to work with William Orbit. I love my ambient melancholy." William Orbit produced this version. Later, Rob said this wasn't a very good cover and could have been dropped from the album.
The original was released in 1984 and hit number 13 in the UK. It appeared in Melody Maker's list of top 50 singles of 1984. Oakley said, "What seems sugary sweet on the surface has a much darker subtext. The story is actually about the original protagonists from Don't You Want Me meeting up 4 years later. In Louise, the man sees his lost love again and still can't cope. The anger that drove the earlier song is dissipated and is replaced with a hopeful fantasy that his ex-lover is drawn to him all over again. So Louise is really about self-deception, delusion, and eternal sadness. It's about men thinking they can manipulate women when they can't, even conning themselves that they have when they haven't. However, like the less savoury premise of Don't You Want Me, the darker side of the Louise story went over the heads of the record-buying public who misinterpreted the lyrics as sweet and upbeat."
So yeah, I never knew that it had a darker side, this song. I always took it on face value as being sweet and upbeat myself.
Yeah.
What do you think of this cover, Jacek?
Yeah, so did I. I didn't know it was it had a dark turn in it. But as did Rob say at the beginning that he hopes that 15 years later it breaks someone's heart. And I was re-listening to this for this episode, and it did. It did. The lyrics did resonate, and I love again the ending. It's not always true that time heals all wounds. There are wounds that you don't want to heal. The memories of something really good, something truly real that I've never found again. Which, just absolutely really hits me.
Because that's not on the original version, and I just think that's a really nice way that he's covered it, including that.
It's a story song, so obviously, like, you know, now that I think about it, it's not a very Robbie-esque lyric. But that end lyric is definitely very Robbie-esque.
Yeah.
So, it's just a nice story and one I can relate to definitely. And sad.
Yeah, I think it's nice that it's included in the album. I know he said it could have been dropped, but I think it balances out all of the rap music and sort of heavy techno sounds with just has a lighter song on.
It does. It does, and I think they really, obviously they do think about the sequencing of the tracks in the track order.
Yeah,
and I think it does contrast a lot with "Never Touch That Switch."
Oh yeah,
if you think about it,
God,
a huge contrast. I love this song. I mean, it's just such a sincere and great tribute to the original Human League version, and I think he does it justice. His voice really works on it. There's something haunting about the lyrics and the way it's sung, but in a very nice way for me. You know, it's sort of I hear the lyrics kind of ringing in my head quite a lot when I've listened to it. It's just a classic rendition of it. Really lovely.
It's got a rich sound. I wrote down. It's nice, and Yeah. And I love the tone of his voice as well, singing it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go on to We're the Pet Shop Boys next.
Yeah. Written by My Robot Friend, Rob's version was produced by Chris Zippel and the Pet Shop Boys. We're the Pet Shop Boys appeared on My Robot's Friend 2004 album Hot Action. An underground hit, it brought My Robot Friend to new audiences when the Pet Shop Boys themselves covered it and released it as a B-side. Then Robbie covered it in 2006.
Rob said, "The Pet Shop Boys are the godfathers of pop. I love the Pet Shop Boys, they're legends. Behaviour is one of my favourite albums ever, and I always go back to the Pet Shop Boys. I felt protected by these songs from Behaviour. I'd found this secret world. It's just amazing that they wanted to work with me, and I had an amazing time working with them. I just loved the fact that the Pet Shop Boys covered it. It is not one of their songs, and I love the irony of me covering a cover. Above all, that the romance for me in this song is paramount. Did I feel like a Pet Shop Boy when I was recording it? Yes, absolutely. Chris Heath played it to me and I fell in love with it. I must say, when I've listened to it back and when I get a chance to sing it, the what have I done to deserve this bit sends shivers down my spine every time it comes up. It's a sense of history, yours and mine, and those particular lyrics really affect me. It's an honour to do it. I love the Pet Shop Boys, and I was pleased to learn that amongst pop genii, I can hold my own." Do you want to go first, Matt?
Yeah, I can go first. Wow. That's my first comment. What a classic tribute to Pet Shop Boys. I mean, from My Robot Friend, obviously, but very fitting for Rob. Very. It's like this connection and these stars were meant to align and this was supposed to happen. It is a legendary track. I mean, you know, I love the sort of electro synth sort of vibe. So this, just the sound of this song alone is just brilliant. I love it. It's so strong and just incredible. And I love the way at the end, I have to get these little facts in because I did a little bit of research here on this one. Do you want to hear?
Yeah.
I love the way that it lists loads and loads of songs in the final verse. Now, I recognised a few, but I didn't realise there were quite so many. So, you know, Rent, Pet Shop Boys track from 1987, Shopping from 87, Being Boring, 90, It's Alright from 88, It's a Sin from 87, I'm Not Scared from 87, but remixed a few times after that, In Denial with Kylie in 99, Lucy.
Which I hadn't realised.
That was a revelation, Jacek, that one.
I can imagine.
Like, what? What?
I can imagine, yeah.
Did you listen to it since?
No,
or
I
not?
haven't.
Still
I need to listen to it.
We'll have to listen to it. I Want a Dog. I was thinking, well, that can't be a track. 87. I Want a Lover. 86. Can You Forgive Her? 93. Do I Have to? 87. What have I done to deserve this? 87. So, like, all those songs, and
So
Rob, the way that Rob just lists them out, well,
Yeah.
it just sounds good. Yeah. So,
Okay, so I really love this song, but as I've said before, I love the Pet Shop Boys. So I just love the Pet Shop Boys sound, and this has got a real Pet Shop Boys sound on it.
oh yeah,
And I think it fits quite well on this album. I love the beat. I love it. I just love it. And I listened to the My Robot Friend version. It's kind of weird. It's much rawer. I'd even go so far as saying the vocals out of tune on it. It's kind of really simple production, almost kind of a cappella in parts. And it really sounds like the music is coming from a robot. And the spoken bits are almost coming from a robot. It's like in a weird voice. So that's obviously why it's, you know, My Robot Friend. But then the Pet Shop Boys version is much more like Rob's version. It's kind of a bit more real sounding. And although for them, the bit where it lists the songs is still not them singing. It's still like a weird kind of voice doing that bit. So I quite like Rob's version because it's him doing all the songs just with the nice backing vocals of the Pet Shop Boys. So I just think it's a really good version, and actually think it builds on the ones beforehand and was worth doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jacek, what do you think?
Well, I think it's a very Rudebox type song, and it's found a home, which is nice. It's obviously a tribute to the Pet Shop Boys that Rob's worked with quite a lot, and I think it was a huge honor for him to have that, and work with them, and because he did work with them for this song. Yeah,
he did.
Yeah.
And in the lyrics, so does he add any lyrics to this, or
no? I don't think so. It's pretty much as the song originally was. Yeah.
But
he just changed the sort of with the Pet Shop Boys, changed the production of it.
Yeah. So I just think I'm glad it's found a home. It's not an instant favorite of mine, but
right.
But yeah, I mean it fits the album, and that's good.
Cool.
Great. So we have come to the point in the show where we are going to finish this episode, but before we finish this episode, we have to select a song from the songs that we've just gone through.
So it won't be from the whole Rudebox album. It's only going to be from the ones we've discussed so far.
Okay.
Yeah, so a little bit of
twist.
A twist.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because there's 17 songs on Rudebox, we couldn't have, the episode would have been like 5 hours long if we discussed them all in one episode. So we thought we'd cut it there and put the rest into the next episode with the B-sides and the unreleased songs as well.
This might actually make it slightly easier.
Oh, good.
It makes it easier.
Well, I mean, the good news is, just so that listeners understand, Jacek is coming back for our next episode to cover all of Rudebox and the B-sides. So we're not shortchanging you in any way.
No.
We are a little bit, but So the thing is, I would like to request to go last because I've got a few on my list, and I don't want to steal any of yours. So who would like to go first? I mean, guests normally go first.
Guests normally go first.
But you don't have to.
You don't have
can
to.
At least go first if you want.
So it's a toss-up between two songs. Either the wonderfully bonkers Keep On or Good Doctor.
Oh, okay.
Aha. And I think I might go for... I really want to go for Good Doctor. But then Rob wanted to kick off Keep On off the album, and I don't agree with that, and I want to take a stand. What do I do? What do I do? It's a toss-up between the two. But yeah, Good Doctor, even though it's a sad song.
Good Doctor.
Good Doctor.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good choice.
That you think is a sad song, but I think it's a joyous song. But
it is joyous, but it just makes me feel a little bit sad.
Yeah.
But knowing that he's helped himself since then, it's all good.
But an honourable mention to Keep On, because I just absolutely love that song.
I think you have a strong emotional connection to Good Doctor from the story that you told. So I get that.
Yeah.
Cool. And Lucy?
Well, it's hard for me because I absolutely have a favourite song on this album, but it's in the next episode. So it makes it a bit more tricky to choose from the beginning half of the album. So I am between the singles. So it's like, which one do I like the best? And I think I'm going to go Love Light.
I thought you might. I could hear the connection when you talked about Love Light.
Yeah. Even though I love Rudebox and She's Madonna, I think Love Light has just got a little extra that's different to all his other songs with the falsetto.
Okay, that makes it one song easier for me to choose then, because I had 3 written down. So
walk us through it.
Love Light was probably up there actually. So I'm pleased you picked that.
Good.
Then it was We're the Pet Shop Boys, and Rudebox. Now, the dilemma I have, and we always talk about this when Rob hasn't written the song or hasn't been involved. We're the Pet Shop Boys. I absolutely love it. I really do. I could just turn that song on full blast and listen to it all day. He does a great rendition of it, but do I pick it? He didn't write it. Do I want Rudebox on there because of the you know what? A bit like you, Jacek. A nod to We're the Pet Shop Boys.
Yeah.
But I've got to pick Rudebox just because it's controversial in some people's eyes, and it still needs to be
on the
there.
playlist.
So
it does
gonna
need
get
to be
it
on the playlist. Yeah.
Rudebox, done.
Good. Cool.
Some good choices there.
Yeah, I think so.
Lucy,
Nice
do you
to
have an
have,
honourable mention?
Oh, an honourable mention would be She's Madonna.
She's Madonna.
because,
All right.
You know, that is so clever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, just before we wrap up this episode, make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out. And also, Lucy and I would really appreciate it if you can leave us a star rating. You can do this on both Apple and Spotify podcasts. We would also love it if you could write us a short review, and you can do this on Apple. Don't forget, you can check out our episode notes for each episode and links to all tracks and videos at robbiewilliamsrewind.com. You can also email us at email@robbiewilliamsrewind.com. Please also follow and chat on our social channels. It's at RewindRobbie on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. And you can also like and follow our Facebook page, Robbie Williams Rewind. And before we return to this episode, you might also consider sending us one of your own Robbie stories for the show. Just record a short audio clip on your phone and email it to us. Please check the website for more details. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
So thanks for listening, everyone. If you tune into the next episode, as we said, we'll be back with Jacek discussing the remaining songs on Rudebox, as well as the B-sides and some rare tracks that came out that you can find on YouTube from that time.
Yeah.
So we'll speak to you again soon. And thank you, Jacek.
Thanks very much. Mum, this is your son podcasting. I love you. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Mic drop. Thanks, Jacek. Thanks for sharing all your lovely stories with us. We appreciate it and look forward to the next episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, till next time.
Till next time.
Bye.
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 Robbie Williams Rewind.